Is it, it's on my email here? Okay. I honestly, I haven't looked at any emails, to be honest with you.
Okay, we're officially live.
All right,
This is what the people are seeing on
okay.
YouTube.
I guess we should tell anybody that doesn't want to be here or has any warrants out against them.
How do I limit chat? Because we ain't chatting tonight.
No, we're not chatting.
No.
No.
Last time I did it, it said no chat not happening.
Jerry, was it the Jerry Bryan Pro at Pemberton Township celebrated? I don't know if you sent it to me, Jerry. I'll read whatever. As long as it's good news, I'll read it.
I don't know what it's doing, but it's. We're live.
Live,
We are live.
no glitches,
Hmm?
no glitches.
We have 2 viewers.
How many?
I think I might be one of them too. Turn the lights out there.
What did you?
Who's turning the lights out? Oh, you guys gotta let me know about your business cards. Matt answered. You did not. We already have yours, and I
What
need
do you need
Perry's.
to know?
And do you want your personal cell
No.
phone? Okay, so you just want
Yep.
the office phone?
Enough people coming.
Yeah, I wouldn't, these guys are crazy, but for the personal cell phones on there, sorry.
No. No, you know what my wife said today? She goes, I am so sorry. You know what phone calls I got at like 11:30 this morning? About 10. And I was like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm working. What do you? All right, we got 15 seconds, right? Danny's here?
Danny is on.
Okay. Yes, and I'll read it from here. All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to call the meeting to order. Township of Pemberton regular meeting agenda, February 19th, 2025. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been published in the Burlington County Times and the Trenton Times on the 5th day of January 2025. Additionally posted on the official bulletin board of the Township of Pemberton on the 1st day of January 2025. Those wishing to be notified of changes to scheduled meetings were notified via email or regular mail. If everybody would please stand and honor the flag with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Meetings, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Dewey? Here. Mr. Harper?
Here.
Mr. Bianchini?
Here.
Mr. Doyle is absent this evening. Mr. Ward?
Here. Meeting is now called to order. First up is the closed session resolution, authorizes council to go into closed session. Do we have anything for closed session this evening?
No. We can hold off on that if you wish.
Okay. Next up on the agenda, we have a presentation by, Chris Dockney from CME to discuss the UEZ 5-year plan. Mr. Dockney?
Maps I have for you over here, if that's all right. I'll set them facing this way so that people out here can see as well as you all.
Sure.
That's acceptable to you. Thank you. Okay, that seems to be working. Thank you. I'll try and be brief. I have approximately 10 to 15-minute presentation here for you. For those of you who don't know me, which I think is probably most of you, I think it's entirely new council since the last time I was here before this body, maybe 5-6 years ago, give or take. I'm Chris Dockney. I'm a planner with CME Associates, and we've been contracted by the town to prepare a 5-year strategic plan for the urban enterprise zone. And the map I have here, there's 3 maps there, but this is just literally a map of the current boundaries of the urban enterprise zone, which briefly go over what the urban enterprise zone is. It's a state program. Maybe it was around 30 years ago, I think, the state designated about 27, 28 areas all over the state, primarily urban areas, as urban enterprise zones, which means they were considered to be distressed communities based on the income of the population, a few other factors, the level of taxes coming in from non-residential properties, industrial, commercial properties. And it's a program that's intended to incentivize business development, economic development and growth, job creation, things like living wages for residents of lower income areas. And I want to say it was in the early 90s, maybe it was the 80s. Pemberton Township, a large portion of Pemberton, was designated as an urban enterprise zone, and that included everything within the yellow of that map. So essentially Browns Mills all the way to North Pemberton Road and Birmingham Road area, Magnolia Road, all of it was designated as an urban enterprise zone. Well, fast forward to today, it's been an urban enterprise zone for 30 plus years. Last year, the state passed a new regulation that every urban enterprise zone has to have a 5-year strategic plan in order to see the benefits of being a UEZ, which the benefits are businesses. If you're buying anything from a business within UEZ and they're a participating business, you pay half the sales tax. That's sort of the most famous thing, is instead of paying 7%, you pay like 3.31% sales tax. Businesses that participate in the UEZ, they're eligible for tax credits on capital improvements. They get a few other tax breaks, and they're eligible for grants from the EDA, as well as grants and assistance from the urban enterprise zone itself. And so the state says, if you want to continue doing this, you have to have a 5-year plan. So the state has funded each of these communities, Pemberton being one of them, to prepare a 5-year strategic plan of what you want to see happen in your urban enterprise zone, and more importantly, since the UEZ collects funds from every town, basically those sales taxes go directly to the state and go into a huge pot of money that then gets divvied up among all the urban enterprise zones. If you want to get any of that money back, you have to have a plan that says what you might want to do with the money. So that's essentially the purpose of this plan. That's why CME is hired to prepare this. So we've got a draft of the plan for your consideration tonight. I'll go get straight to it. First thing we did is we did essentially a review of what's currently in the UEZ, how many businesses are there, general land use, what's the demographics of the area, essentially to make sure you still qualify as an urban enterprise zone, and it's pretty clear you do. We did some community and business outreach. We had a survey that was posted through township social media back in maybe July, I think it was, and we had about 250 to 300 responses from people, essentially asking them what they want to see in the businesses in the UEZ, or more specifically, just businesses in Pemberton Township, what they feel are missing from current businesses in the business areas, downtown Browns Mills, Fort Dix Road area, those areas, what kind of businesses they want to see, why they don't spend their money in town. A lot of people said, they go to Mount Laurel or other places to spend their money. And to get an idea of what's missing in Pemberton that would essentially help the business community to thrive. That was one portion of it. We also had surveys for just the businesses in the area to see what they would like to see might help them thrive as a business in town. We also had a breakfast. Well, we invited all the businesses in the town to come to a breakfast. The participation there was actually fairly low. We were a little disappointed by that. But we have had outreach to both the community as well as to the business community specifically to see what we could do in the plan to help them grow and thrive as part of the UEZ. And I'll just run through the recommendations of the plan real quick. Like I said, my purpose here, I want to try and be relatively brief with my actual presentation and then be open to whatever questions you might have on what's in the plan, how we came about the recommendations, or if anybody here has any questions on it. Okay. So essentially what we're recommending, and this is kind of a long list of recommendations, the idea being If something is in the plan, you can request funding to support that through the UEZ from the state. It would be your UEZ director, which is the Community Development Director, Rosemary Flaherty, would have to submit an application to the state saying, we want to use UEZ money for this. And if it's in the plan, the state will look and see that's part of the grant application. Yes, it's in your plan. It's been vetted through this process. We'll give you that money. If it's not in the plan, you're unlikely to get funding for that. So we're not necessarily planning on doing all of these things, or the town isn't going to be doing all these immediately. The amount of money you have is limited. But if it's not in the plan, it's very difficult to then get the money without then amending the plan again and having to go through this process one more time. So the things we're recommending, based on largely the concerns we got from the citizens, first thing is safety and security in the business communities. A lot of people said they don't necessarily feel safe. Some of the business areas are not necessarily clean. There's perception of crime in the area. So we have safety and security as the top recommendation. And the things you can do with money from the UEZ, you can have security cameras installed. Other law enforcement technologies can be put in place. You can even remove blighted buildings if it seems like this particular building is a problem and they're blighted. You can even use UEZ funds to tear down a vacant old building that seems to be a haven for crime. Things like partnering with schools and trade schools to try and increase job participation through job training programs for targeted industries that are things like healthcare that are expected to grow in New Jersey, and you've got a hospital in your UZ as well as the mental health facility. So those are areas kind of targeted for growth in the area that suggest you work with other institutions to help Pemberton residents be trained for the jobs that are going to be at those institutions. Let's see. Financial incentives for businesses to hire, train, and retain current residents, and try and attract more industries that are complementary to what you already have here, the things that build on the healthcare industry. Encourage new retail sales and service businesses, in particular restaurants and something like a grocery store to come to town. I think that was the most common comment we got in the UEZ survey, was residents said they're not necessarily happy with the current grocery store and want to see more options for affordable groceries. Things like infrastructure and physical improvements, like actually putting gateway signage to Browns Mills or to the township as a whole. Streetscape improvements, you can do new sidewalks, street furniture, lights, benches, flagpoles, all that sort of stuff. You can use UEZ funds to do that on any street within the UEZ. You can do landscaping improvements, you can plant trees, create public gathering spaces in your parks. You can upgrade and repave public parking lots. You can repave roads. Do pedestrian improvements like crosswalks and pedestrian signals at intersections. You can use UEZ funds to purchase street sweeping equipment, so long as it's actually used within the UEZ. Upgrade infrastructure to businesses that are part of the UEZ. And another thing that's important, and a lot of towns have done this with UEZ funds in the past, is you can actually make grants to individual businesses that are participating in the UEZ for things like facade improvements or for capital improvements to that business. So if there's one business somewhere, and maybe I'll say somewhere in downtown Browns Mills that is not a bad business, but their building is rather ugly and decrepit, you can actually give them a grant, a completely forgivable loan grant, to upgrade the facade of their business so it looks better and more attractive. Other things, you can also use UEZ funds for marketing. That's one of the bigger recommendations, and one of the areas we might look into in the future is, I'm not a marketing person myself, I'm a planner, but you can hire somebody to create a marketing campaign to advertise downtown Browns Mills or Fort Dix Road or Pemberton Township as a whole to the entire region of Burlington County, Ocean County, Camden County, Mercer County, and set out, whether it's social media or what have you. The marketing person will be much better at figuring that out than me. And say, hey, come to Browns Mills, visit the lake, go shop at the shops, that sort of thing, to try and bring people in and make it a little bit more of a destination than it currently is. And sort of, maybe they play off the history of what it was as sort of a resort community way back in the day. A few other things, business outreach and general things like that. That's the sort of the physical recommendations, or the things we would use money for. The other, I think, kind of crucial piece to this is, as you can see in this map here, that's not quite the entirety of the town, but a large portion of Pemberton Township is in what's called an urban enterprise zone. If you look at that map, you see a lot of farms and forests there, which it's always been, it's baffled me, and I think a lot of other people, why so much of the town is considered an urban enterprise zone, when it's largely farms and forests in Fort Dix. So as part of this plan, we have the opportunity to redraw the boundaries of what is the urban enterprise zone. And so we are proposing that. I'll flip a couple pages on the map. As a part of this plan, we are proposing to substantially shrink the boundaries of the urban enterprise zone so that the majority of the farms and the forest in Fort Dix and some of your schools that were part of the urban enterprise zone that are clearly not commercial or industrial properties and are never going to be commercial industrial properties in the future or anytime in the near future are no longer in the urban enterprise zone. So the resources from the UEZ get really focused on your actual business areas in town. And so the areas in red on this map, the yellow is still the current boundary. The areas in red are where we're proposing the boundaries be shrunken down to. It's probably about a third of the existing size.
Are you going to be able to provide to the town shrunk-down copies of those maps?
They're all in the plan, yes.
Okay.
But yes, I have that digitally as well as they're in the copies of the plan. I also have a list, hasn't been verified by the tax assessor to see it's 100% accurate because this was based on GIS parcel data, which usually is a couple years old, so there might have been a few subdivisions here or there. But also at the back of the plan, there is a list of all the parcels that are currently in the UEZ that we are proposing would be removed, which is essentially all the farms in the forest in Fort Dix, as well as Magnolia Road, which currently I think does not have a single non-residential or non-farm property for whatever reason. That's been in the UEZ. We're suggesting that come out. And I have not understood this at all. What is it? Mount Misery Road, basically from one of the lakes all the way out to Route 70, just the road itself, not the properties on either side of the road, is in the UEZ. So we're suggesting that doesn't need to be in the UEZ. So that's,
We'll have to adopt your report by resolution to revise the UEZ zone. Is that correct?
yes, so you'd be adopting the report, and we'd have to submit this to DCA. DCA oversees the UEZ program. I'm sure they'll have a few comments. This is a new process, so it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen. I assume they're not necessarily going to rubber stamp it, but I don't know the degree of scrutiny they're going to place on every single parcel we're proposing to remove. There is a land use map that will accompany this that shows we don't want to take too much out of the UEZ because part of the formula that determines how much funding you get from the UEZ is based on how many commercial and industrial properties you have within the boundaries of the UEZ. So we wanted to make sure we're keeping commercial and industrial properties in the UEZ, even if they're not necessarily connected to Browns Mills or Fort Dix Road or some of the other, smaller clusters of commercial businesses you have, so that you are maximizing the funding you get, but taking a lot of those farms out of the UEZ. I know that has been an issue here in terms of not necessarily related to the urban enterprise zone in terms of it's not part of what this plan is, but redevelopment, one of the criteria that the town is allowed to designate a property in need of redevelopment is if it is in the UEZ. And the redevelopment law is if you meet any one of the 10 criteria, you can designate that in need of redevelopment. And one of those criteria is it's in the UEZ. So I had been involved in those presentations years back of, we've been asked to do a study. Does this meet any of the criteria in need of being in need of redevelopment? And so we'd do the report and we'd see, well, half of the town is in the UEZ, therefore technically half of the town could technically qualify. This would scale that back so that a lot of the farms would no longer qualify as areas in need of redevelopment.
Mr. Dockney, how much will be in the grant? How much are we?
I'm sorry?
How much are we getting for a grant?
Oh, well, the funding formula is based on three things. It's how many, the revenues you get from your non-residential properties, I think it's the percentage or the number of persons in town that are considered low income, as well as then the amount of sales tax that you actually collect. So if, I forget what the number is, if I don't see Ro here, she knows the actual number of what is in your annual budget, and it changes a little bit every year. I want to say it was somewhere in the range of several $100,000, but I could be off quite a bit there, so I don't want to, it's not a matter of, we're asking for a grant right now. There already is funding out there, but you're not allowed to tap into it unless you have an adopted plan and then what you're asking to tap into it for. And it could be for different things. You can use, that'll be between you and the town administrator and the community development director to say, all right, we want to put in an application. We want 100,000 for new equipment. We want 50,000 for this. We're going to ask for 300,000 for that. And then the state would approve those individual applications. But there is a pot of money that you have a certain percentage allocated to you.
When the township decides what they want to use the money for, does that have to be then approved again in Trenton?
Essentially, the application, you submit a request for UEZ funding, and I'm not involved in that process, but it is essentially, there's a checkbox, and if you go down and you meet the checkboxes, one of which is what you're asking for funds, is that something that was part of your UEZ plan? It's essentially, if you check off all the boxes, then they'll give you the money you're requesting if it's part of your allocated funds. Now, if you're saying, if Trenton says you're allocated 400,000 and you're asking for 5 million, they're gonna, say, no, we're gonna give you at most 400,000 of that.
Are you sending me the report to the township clerk's office so that we'll have it?
Yes, it's been sent to the community development director. I don't know if Amy has seen this report or not, though. I couldn't tell you.
haven't seen it.
Okay, she's saying she has not.
Chris,
Yes.
you had mentioned about loans to businesses or grants to businesses. Is there an application process that we're going to be following and then a vetting process too? We're not just randomly giving out money to
No,
businesses,
they would
right?
have to establish the actual, application forms, and they would be sent out to all participating UEZ businesses. And, yeah, it would be just like an application for a site plan. There would have to be at least a form you fill out and say what you're doing, why you want the money. And then it would be something that gets approved administratively of, yes, we'll give you these funds, you meet what we're looking for, or no, I'm sorry, we can't give you those funds.
Okay, the other question I had was, we're spending money, and I understand it's UEZ and we're getting Trenton's approval to spend it and stuff. But usually with money, council's in charge of money. So are we gonna have to go through council to get approval for final approval to release those funds to whatever we're doing with that?
I'm honestly not sure about that, because it's money from the state, so it's not township funds. It's money that, the UEZ sales tax goes to a separate state fund than the general sales tax, so that gets redistributed to the UEZ communities. So honestly, I don't know the process in terms of, does every single expenditure from the UEZ, if say you do a facade improvement grant, and it says we're gonna do, $200,000 for facade improvement grants, with each person, a maximum award to each business of $10,000, so there'd be 20 of those. I don't know if all 20 applications have to then come and get individually approved, or if it's just
got a
an
feeling-
approval of the program itself, and then you leave it to staff to determine, yes, you meet this, and we'll work with you.
I think in the past when we did the RCA loans and stuff, they had to go through, I believe, council to get approved.
Well, I think the application's going to have to be approved for a specific purpose. And then, like you said, if the application's approved, then it's here. Yeah, but we'll deal with that down the road.
It's just something we have to look into. Just like accepting grants, usually the council has to give approval, so.
I guess my assumption would be it's probably something along the lines of, you don't necessarily need to approve of every individual expenditure on a line item by item basis, but it could be, a monthly summary of, we're looking to spend X amount of funds through the UEZ program towards these programs, and it's maybe a single resolution saying, yes, we're authorizing this funding. And you'd probably have the ability to call out any individual items if you want to, but that it might, I'm just trying to think in terms of other programs I've worked with. Yeah, it'll get figured out. More than likely, you would have some level of oversight. It's not a matter of, Roe gets to pick and choose who she wants to get the funds, and you just have to live with her decisions. But also, hopefully, it's not something that every time somebody wants anything, they have to come to this body and specifically make an hour-long presentation, and that would, the purpose is to help the businesses quickly and efficiently, and not tie it up in bureaucratic process that Trenton has to approve it, then you approve it, then back and forth and all that sort of stuff.
So we're allocated X amount of dollars based on the formula you were talking about, right? Is there any threshold of how much we can go over that allocation? Are we allowed to go over that allocation, and what's the process to do that?
I honestly don't know if you're allowed to request any more than what you're allocated.
Okay, all right.
My assumption is no. There might be some sort of process, since it is all state funds, that if at the end of the year there's an excess of, let's say, Mount Holly's allocated 500,000, Pemberton's allocated 500,000. Those are the two UEZs in Burlington County. I think those are the only two in Burlington County. Let's say Mount Holly only uses 400,000 and you've used your 500,000. There might be some, I don't think it's in the regs, but there's a possibility of excess funds that were allocated to certain towns. If they didn't use them, that could get put back into a general fund, and then you might be able to request funding, but that would probably be determined. I mean, with the state, with DCA, the way they usually do things, same thing with DEP. they will allocate you funds, or you can be awarded funds through a grant, and they give you a certain amount of time to spend those or use those, and they'll usually give you a heads up multiple times of, hey, you've got $100,000 sitting in this fund, please submit something to us so you can use that, and then they'll remind you several times, and eventually it does expire, and then I don't know what happens to it, if it goes back to the general fund or if it gets allocated elsewhere, but my assumption would be, try and use the money, or my recommendation would be try and use as much of the money as you can sooner than later, because you don't know what's gonna happen to it if you don't use it.
Now, you said we're all in favor of shrinking up the UEZ zone, and as I've read through your proposal, it has to be put in all lots and blocks. I mean, just can't say this area is now not in the UEZ zone. You have to have every lot and block in there.
Well, doing that, I know.
So the state can,
DCA maps it online, so you can literally go to DCA's website to their, I think it's the community assessment mapping or community impact mapping, something like that. And they have the exact boundaries of every current UEZ, and the primary reason for that is they're gonna wanna update their maps so that they know specifically, and they can, because eventually would be a public document.
Right,
I'll
right.
control the
I
state,
just
they'll know
want to
exactly
make
what's
sure
in, what's
no
out.
lots and blocks are left out of, any, farm
Well-
areas or rural areas.
DCA would be sent the list of block lots as well as the map, and I can send them the actual GIS file so they could drop it into their own systems and map it and then
Okay.
verify block and lots.
Okay, so we'll be able to take a better look that way before we adopt this proposal and make sure it fits into what we're looking at.
If that's what you want to do, sure.
Okay.
Mr. Dewey, you have any questions?
Yes, I do, John. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Was there any lots added to, like, up on Arnie's Mountain Road?
Well, what we're proposing, we're not proposing to add anything to the UEZ that isn't currently in the UEZ. We're shrinking it down. There are a few areas, Fort Dix Road and Arnie's Mountain Road, that would remain in the UEZ where there are businesses. The general idea is everything that currently is a business, like Arnie's Mountain, say, like where the Wawa is, I think it's where Arnie's Mountain and Fort Dix Road meet. That would stay in the UEZ, and then the VFW and a few other businesses further north on that, they would stay in the UEZ. But we're not proposing on expanding the boundaries anywhere that isn't currently in the UEZ.
Oh, north of North Pemberton Road on Arnie's Mountain, that's not included in the UEZ?
I think it stops at Conoco Corners.
I don't think so, no. Anything that's not currently a business, well, not anything, but for the most part, we're maintaining just areas that are currently business corridors or are currently developed with businesses, and for the most part, not 100%, where they're currently farms and forests and public properties that are not going to be changing anytime soon. We've proposing to remove those from the urban enterprise zone.
Chris, I think, Councilman Dewey, to answer your question on North Pemberton, we were talking about Pemberton Farms, including that.
Yes,
right?
that is included. I don't think that's near Arnie's Mountain Road. That's
Well, that's on North Pemberton Road.
That's on North Pemberton Road, and I'm sorry, what's that cross? And Route 206. So I'm sorry, I see a jacket here in your spot, but I assume you're joining us virtually, so I don't know if you can see the map or not. I'm assuming
You
no.
can't see the map.
Okay.
I think it was in the packet, though. It's,
Yeah, but he
oh, he's got the electric version.
couldn't get it all open.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I don't know how easy it is to read. The map is on proposed map is on page 30-something. 37 of the plan is the proposed map. It's a little hard to read. It's, 1 inch equals about 2 miles there, so it's not easy to get down to the parcel level on that.
Yeah, what page was the map?
It's page 37 is the proposed map.
Okay. The other question I had, when you mentioned New Lisbon Road, you'd be going, I guess, east on that road towards the 4 Mile Circle. On the right side, you have blueberry fields, cranberry bogs, down 3/4 of the way down there, and then you have state ground, and on the left side, when you get past the last house, on the left going east on New Lisbon Road towards the circle, when you get past, I think it's Coleman Bridge Road, from there all the way down is state property. That's part of the state forest.
Yeah, nothing in Burn State Forest would be in the UEZ.
Exactly, but what I'm saying is on the right side, you have blueberry fields and cranberry bogs that you can't see from New Lisbon Road because they're in the woods. It's all farms. And that stretch from there, you can go Magnolia Road, and there's blueberry farms in there. So that should be eliminated from the UEZ at all. The whole-
Yeah, well, right now Magnolia Road is in the UEZ and we're proposing to remove that.
Yes.
So I don't think that I haven't looked at it exactly parcel by parcel, everything, but I don't think there would be any cranberry bogs or blueberry farms that would be in the proposed new UEZ boundaries. The idea was to take that stuff out of the UEZ.
That would be correct.
Any other questions? All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Duffy. Appreciate it.
I don't know if anybody else has questions, but thank you. I'll remain if you have any more questions.
All right. Well, we'll move on to public comments. Number 7 on the agenda. The council's intention is to preserve the level of respect, courtesy, and civility required to successfully conduct the public's business. In this regard, the council should be addressed during public participation as a collective body and not individual members. In order to respect the speaker's time, council members will not engage in a dialogue or debate with the speaker. However, council members should feel free to ask the speaker a question or questions once recognized by the council president for purposes of clarification. Council members can offer comments on the speaker's remarks once the speaker has concluded his or her comments in the allotted 5-minute time frame. Before we start, Mrs. Reynolds, hang on 1 second. Mr. Costa, I'm going to do you a favor, okay, because ADA is very important to me. Your tripod stand there, if you want to move that on the other side of that doorway there, please, you're more than welcome to, okay? Yep, absolutely. Thank you. Go ahead, Mrs. Reynolds.
Hi, Marie Reynolds, Browns Mills, and I don't mean to take up the time of your professionals, but I had a lot of questions about this UEZ plan. First of all, when was this firm retained to do the 5-year plan?
I believe that we had our kickoff meeting maybe in May, and then we put out the survey in June or July. So I want to say the contract was probably April of last year, but I might be off.
Okay, and what was the cost of the, what's the cost of this plan, the 5-year plan that's being developed by
The
CME?
overall contract was in the range of $92,000 or $95,000.
Okay. My concern with that was that a few years ago, CME was one of the firms that put in an RFP for Trenton for their 5-year plan. And it was like almost 3 times the other bidders. And so I wondered how, what was done in terms of looking at, I mean, we had to put out RFPs for this, right? Did we?
Yes, we had responded to an RFP through submitting the proposal and
Okay, all right,
selected. I don't know how many other proposals were submitted, but we were selected.
okay. Because in Trenton, when that bidding took place, the cost of the 5-year plan development was $65,000, and this firm was over $124,000 for the same plan. And in 2023, the UEZ, the requirements for the UEZ plan were changed by the state, by DCA, and it requires that that you have some conversation before the plan is developed. that you have some, for instance, Mount Holly Urban Enterprise Zone, their 5-year plan, their executive summary, they included a stakeholders group. They had a stakeholders group. And I responded to the survey that we put out, and it was pretty sad. I mean, in terms of someone who has done surveys in the past, it was pretty sad. You know, like, do you want to see food trucks in Browns Mills? Is that really part of our infrastructure? So I really think this is a very big project. I think it's a very big deal, and I don't think it's just a matter of getting some money and passing it along to somebody. I mean, I think we can do some make some real changes. We can do some big things. Our history with UEZ, and we were designated a UEZ in 1996, and I understand, according to DCA, that expires in 2027. So I'm sure that's why we're looking to get this done now. But when you look at a survey that was done by the DCA in 2019, Pemberton's participation, what we achieved is abysmal from 1996 on. Other towns did great big things. The city of Trenton did the Roebling Market, which is huge. The city of Camden did Eye in the Sky program, a very sophisticated cameras and throughout the city that could help with the subject of crime. The city of Bridgeton did a huge Steamworks program where they took an old building, industrial building, and they did training for technology and for STEM for the community, and that outreach really helped exponentially people get prepared for jobs in the future. I love this one. The city of Long Branch utilized $6 million of UEZ funds for planning and development projects, which revolutionized business development in the city and allowed them to leverage more than $1.2 billion in new redevelopment projects along the city's oceanfront. And those, there's a lot that we can do with this. I don't think what Township of Pemberton did? Private investments. The Township of Pemberton utilized approximately $1 million in second-generation funds for acquisition and demolition of substandard buildings to encourage redevelopment at the Browns Mills Shopping Center and Juliustown Road. This effort was completed in conjunction with municipal funding, and it ended a nearly 2-decade investment standstill of this blighted area. Make that 4 decades now. The township is currently in a redevelopment agreement with private developers to establish the future infrastructure of their area. Other private investments included Virtua Medical Offices, DeVita Dialysis, and the Deborah Hospital, which took advantage of the sales tax reimbursement program for their building projects. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done here, and I think that more than a survey that was put out on social media, I know I'm over my time, but I think that and Sycamore Hall has to be part of it. Thank you.
Mrs. Reynolds, can I answer some of your questions now? Since the buzzer went off, but
Thank you.
So here's what I'll tell you, Marie. I mean, I think everybody knows over the past 3 years that I've been here, I've been constantly harping about why we're even in a UEZ, right? I've read the studies from Virginia Tech. I've read the studies from Rutgers. I've seen the studies for the rest of the state of New Jersey. Quite honestly, UEZs don't really. There's no evidence that they help or hurt. It's just flat, right? And yeah, it's a money grab. I mean, we have a truck driving around Pemberton Township that has UEZ on the side of it. For what reason? Right? So we bought a truck with UEZ money.
Right.
So it's another issue where, and everybody's heard me say this before, the program's probably going to sunset. It got its last extension.
I would assume.
Right?
Right.
So, there's a lot of businesses, even Wawa in New Jersey doesn't take advantage of UEZ. They just don't because there's no benefit to them. Right? So it's another way to just, in my opinion, take money and kind of transfer it from one pocket to the other, right? I'm not saying anybody's taking money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, right? There's displacement of funds as opposed to generation of funds, right? And those examples that you mentioned, right? Long Branch, very big population of small business and economic growth. The other cities that you mentioned, Trenton, I mean, again, millions and millions of dollars probably in their UEZ funds. I've sat here and argued the fact that why Pemberton Township, almost 75% of it was in the UEZ for the past 2 years, right? And why?
Well,
The
we're
only-
not taking advantage of it. We had
Well-
out of 201 businesses in Pemberton Township in the 2019 survey, 27 were participating.
Right.
The rate of participation was 13%.
Right, it was
Yeah.
abysmal. I would agree
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Right, so quite honestly, and that's my opinion, we shouldn't have even been in the UEZ, but because of sprawl and development, everybody knows what it was. So that's my 2 cents on it, but, hopefully, we'll see some changes, and before this comes across council for approval, we'll definitely have a look at it and dive deeper into it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I just have people texting me about the live stream isn't working. A couple people have texted me already.
It's up and running.
Yep, it's up and running.
Up and running.
Yep.
Josh?
Yeah, it's running. Marty, before you start, it is confirmed that it's running, Debbie. I don't know. We got you. Sorry, Marty, you're good.
Oh, that's okay. Hi, I'm Marty Wenger, president of the BMIA, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And before I start, hot off the press, I do have the spring newsletter from the BMIA, so if it's okay for me to approach, I'd like to
Absolutely.
give some of those out.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Good evening. Oh, let me give one to the mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and residents. My name is Marty Graf Wenger, president of the BMIA. I stand before you today to address a matter of significant concern that many of us are all too aware of. Recently, a tragic incident occurred at the intersection of Weymouth and Rancocas where a child was struck by a vehicle. This heart-wrenching event underscores the urgent need to enhance safety at the dangerous intersection. Last year, residents of the area came to a town council meeting to raise concerns about speeding cars in their neighborhood and shared apprehensions about children walking to and from school. In response to these concerns, the BMIA took a closer look at the intersection and included it in our wish list for improvements. We previously encouraged the council to consider an increased police presence and the possibility of installing speed bumps to enhance safety. Today, I am here to ask, what steps will the mayor and council take to prevent such tragedies from happening again? It is imperative that we come together as a community to address this issue, ensuring that our streets are safe for our children and all residents. We seek a commitment from our leadership to explore viable solutions and keep our community safe. In light of our discussions, I want to highlight a positive development. Yesterday at approximately 11 a.m., an advertisement was posted on the Pemberton Township Facebook page for employment of a crossing guard during school hours. We sincerely hope that this position will be appointed at the dangerous intersection where the child was struck. This step could be a significant measure towards ensuring the safety of our children as they navigate our streets. In regards to Resolution 80-2025, it is incredibly nice to see the township cares about its history. I see on the agenda that we will be accepting a grant for 2 signs at the train station. These 2 signs will be an excellent addition so that visitors on our Rails to Trails in Pemberton will understand the importance of the Pemberton and Hightstown Railroad and the significance of our town in the development of southern New Jersey. Our railroads helped build Fort Dix and provided the means for our farms to exist and sell their products. Sometimes visitors on the trail don't even know that it was part of an important train line, and I hope to see more examples of the township's support of our history in the future. On a brighter note, I'd like to share some upcoming events at the BMIA that foster community spirit and engagement. We do have a float building class on February 23rd at 2 p.m. We'll host this float building class at the BMIA building. This event is open to anyone interested in learning how to create a float for the upcoming water carnival. While you're there, please consider bringing a donation for Operation Yellow Ribbon. I have their wish list with me and would love to share it to anybody who approaches me. After that, we have Mardi Gras karaoke. Please join us on March 7th at 7 p.m. for this fun karaoke night. BMIE members will receive a free mask and complimentary food. It's a wonderful opportunity to connect with neighbors and enjoy a night of entertainment. Lastly, mark your calendars for our Coffee with a Cop event on Sunday, March 23rd at 2 p.m. We are excited to welcome Chief of Police Glass, who will be available to address your questions and discuss what our police department is doing to enhance safety in our neighborhood. Additionally, representatives from TAG will provide critical information about fighting addiction. As we know, this affects many families, and it's crucial to be informed and equipped with resources. Before I close, I'd just like to say that BMIA memberships are still available, and they are a low, low price of $15 per family per year. And you can sign up at any membership meeting, any Friday night event, or you can mail us a check to P.O. Box 284, New Lisbon, New Jersey, or you can see me at any township meeting and give me cash, and I will give you a card. So thank you very much for your attention and your commitment to the community. I want to work collaboratively to find effective solutions that ensure the safety of all of our residents, especially our children.
Thank you. Marty, I will answer one of your questions you asked council directly in regards to that. I did hear that tragic accident. Luckily, the girl's okay, from what I heard. But, you know, when and if administration wants to bring something to council and stop signs or road speed humps in that area, I think I can speak for entire council that whatever, safety of the children is first. So we'll approve any expenditure in that area to take care of that, so.
Good. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Samarina Ellie. I live at 270 Ridge Road. My name's Samarina Ellie. I live at 270 Ridge Road. I just want to come talk to you about the Browns Mill Shopping Center. So all the parking lot lights work except for the one in front of our store. And I would ask that you guys do something about that because it's really dangerous for me to close that laundromat at night. The other thing is our roof is still leaking. It's really bad. We can't fix it because if we fix it, it's just going to leak again next time it rains. So if you guys could do something about that. And I think the best way to go about that is just to think about selling the EMS building instead of wasting the money into putting into a building that's falling apart that you guys are going to destroy anyway. The best way to deal with that is to sell us the EMS building. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mayor, can we do anything about the parking lot light or the roof leaking since we rent those property?
The roof leak, we've had Public Works over there to meet with the tenant a couple of times, and no one showed up when our Public Works guys were over there.
I actually was there last time they came, and it was before it snowed. Now that they did fix it, they had 4 guys on this little patch of roof fixing it. They said they fixed it. I watched them put a little bit of tar on the roof, but after it snowed, it started leaking worse.
Wasn't aware of that.
Can we maybe send them back out again?
Sure.
Thank you.
Because the paint is like bubbling up, it's peeling, we're losing business because people don't think we actually care about the place. And I do believe there is black mold under the paint peeling because it's been leaking for so long.
Thank you.
And Mayor, any change in your mind about selling that property?
Have no comment.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Costa.
Hi, how's it going? Alex Costa, 2950 Route 70. I'm gonna hand you out something real quick.
Thank you, Alex. You got tired of emailing?
I sent it to you in email. For your, What I handed you there is just a little resolution or ordinance or whatever you want to call it. I typed it up. It only took me about 10 minutes. It's basically to just have that wall removed or railing or whatever you want to call it. I think it's destructive and abusive. I think we should get it done. Secondly, I wanted to just let you know I Oprah requested the billing materials. We have a charge for $310 at Lowe's. And then we also spent $400 at O'Brien's. But for some reason, they subtracted money off from the Lowe's. So I don't understand why they subtracted money off. And secondly, I got the work order and the people that built it. I'm not going to say their names. Just keep it cool. And they spent collectively between the three of them, if you add up all the hours between the three, about 100 hours working on that, and that over there. So your tax dollars are hard at work. And funny enough, the work order went in on the 16th, the day after the council meeting. And also now on the resolutions, I would like for 70-2025 to also include the Pine Barrens Tribune. I think that it's the most readable paper in our community because I don't think we get the Burlington County Times or the Courier Post. And pretty much 70 on through 81, I think we should all agree that this stuff should be passed. And down to the new business, because I had looked up the Hermit Cam modular surveillance system. Are these dash cameras for the police cars, or what are they for? Because I looked them up, but you had to have an access code from the police, like you had to have like an actual code from the police in order to log in and see all the specifications and stuff. So I wasn't able to access it. I went on the website and tried to look at them. It wouldn't let me get any farther than that without the code. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Josh, man. Yeah, so for that Crime Point website, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You have to have an account to log in. I tried to log in myself. But they're not dash cams. They're actually security cameras you put outside.
Oh, okay.
And that price, just, I know the question we brought up later, is well within the range. There are some a lot cheaper, some a hell of a lot more expensive. So that's what that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the paper I handed you, you think it could be doctored up or, and the lawyers?
I'll have Jerry take a look at it.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking for Jerry's job.
Anybody else for public comment? Mr. Thomas.
Mark Thomas, 35 North Woods Road in the New Lisbon section of Pemberton Township. I wasn't sure whether the council had enough time to respond to the woman who was here, because I thought that there was a question directed to the mayor, but there wasn't any direct response to the individuals involved.
Are you talking about the purchase of the EMS building?
Yes,
It's the mayor under this form of
I
government.
understand that, but
Yeah.
in terms of responding to the person regarding the
Oh.
conditions themselves.
Mark, in regards to the roofing or the purchase and sale of the building, is what you're speaking of to? The sale of the EMS building?
No, just the conditions.
The conditions
Well,
of,
the fact that that it's been ineffective, and this has been an ongoing situation for months upon months upon months.
so what I will personally say, without holding back anything, is if I had the ability as council president to go directly to the Department of Public Works and handle the issue tomorrow, I would.
Yeah, okay.
That's my answer.
I just think.
I'm not allowed to do that, though.
I understand that, but what I'm saying, I'm speaking out as in a moral response to a moral condition here relating to devotion to civic responsibility for our citizens who are laboring under tremendous disadvantages.
And I couldn't agree with you more, Mark.
No,
You know,
that's all I
you know,
want to say.
Yeah, and I mean, look, 4 months ago, I think it was 4 months ago, right, Alex? You know, I went out in the woods, picked up a freezer that nobody wanted to touch. 3 months ago. I picked up a freezer, took it to the dump because it was ridiculous. It was my moral responsibility, right?
Right.
I mean, just pick it up, throw it
Right.
right? If I could go and if I knew how to do roofing, and I was
I
allowed to,
understand.
you know what I mean, right? So I'm not, I agree, I agree with you.
I know. But again, there are technical requirements and responses that are the duties of different aspects of government.
Correct.
But we, in this country, we tend to compartmentalize things so hermetically so that the human aspect of these things and the suffering that goes on is not acknowledged.
Absolutely.
And I feel like I'm sort of I'm the top of the pressure cooker, you know, the little thing that goes around when the pressure goes up. Anyway,
Mark, it's not lost on this council.
I understand.
The lack of consideration for our township residents. It's not lost on us.
I
If we had
understand
any
that.
control on any of this, to include the sale of an EMS building, it would be Mr. Elliott's right now.
I am nothing if not
Okay.
rhetorical, and I do apologize. But anyway, those were not my remarks, but the remarks also about the enterprise zone. I feel that there should have been a public process that included a set of public hearings on something that is this vital. Because as we have seen over the last 6 to 7 years, the way this was constituted made it possible to designate places like the Greenberg Farm as blighted.
Oh, yeah.
And this was a strategic error, and it was what would you call it? It was a sort of cunning way of trying to excise a premier and render unworkable a historic agricultural district that is one of the best in the state.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
And again, I'll revert back to 2009 and the 2014 revision.
That's it.
Which, you know, public hearings, from what I was told, because I didn't live in town at that
Right.
point in time, but were had, and people could have came out and voiced their opinion against it. 1996, with the adoption of it, it should have been shot down right then and there.
Well, I know that maybe I'm just a rabble-rouser who's getting
Yeah.
people all hot under the collar, but what we're seeing, again,
the
was a
ramifications.
process that went on 15 to 20 years.
Correct.
And so this population has been exposed to things that they really couldn't do anything about. And so, and I know that there are at least 2 individuals who have gone through the processes of the last 3 years who have developed serious or aggravations of serious medical problems. And we've heard it in two individuals, one of whom had cardiac symptoms because of, I'm not blaming anybody, I'm just saying that this kind of a process and the lack of transparency about the last decade has resulted in what I would say is, in some ways, a community mental health crisis. So anyway, you know, this is me. And I'm probably not going to get through what I wanted to say, but I had to say these things because this is what everybody is feeling. But we are in a new process, we're in a new era, and I can bring my other stuff up in the future. Well, one question about the master plan, and I know this is planning board bailiwick, but could you tell me what happens with the master plan when it comes over to council? Is that simply an approval, or do you comment on it, and can you send it back for any revisions?
You would probably know better than I do, Jared, because you've been involved with that.
The master plan, when it's adopted, may make recommendations to the township council in terms of rezoning certain areas or modifying building requirements, that kind of thing. And then it's up to the council to decide whether or not they want to enact an ordinance, which presumably would be recommended in that master plan.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I'll save the rest for later.
Thank you for your comments, Mark.
Anybody else for public comment?
Good evening. My name is Michelle Foreman. Okay. Thank you, Mark. That was very good. Very excellent. Okay. I'm looking over there on that wall. I'm trying to find the plugs that were put in there. And I don't see the same white plugs I saw that was in the newspaper the last time.
Because they're right here.
You were able to take them off?
Yeah, I took them off.
Oh, so now there's plugs available to use?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just double checking, because, okay, thank you, Christopher. What? What was that?
I was talking to Chris, I wasn't speaking to you.
Don't get involved with what?
I told him don't get involved in the subject.
Yeah, well, I don't talk when you're
Okay,
up
let's-
here,
let's-
so please don't talk while I'm up
Hello?
here.
All right, Michelle. Stay on track, Michelle. Thank you.
There's a lot of people that need to keep their mouths shut. But anyway, meanwhile, I'm glad to see that you did that. Thank you very much. Did you do that? Or,
Yeah, I did.
oh, thank you very much. Okay, as far as what Christopher was just talking about, I'm not going to comment on that tonight because I wasn't really prepared. But I probably would have a lot to say about that. So, Harry, I just wanted to let you know that there is a crosswalk at that Wawa.
All right, thank you for telling me, yep.
Yeah, yeah. What I was talking to Harry about earlier today was that at the Wawa, and there's, across the street, there's a marijuana store, but there's a red light on Arnie's Mount Road, and the cars are just flying through it. They're not even stopping. It's a roll. It's barely a roll. They just go right through it. Red light, make a right on red. And I talked to him about, we need to, I want to thank Marty for bringing up the traffic, the safety on the roads, okay? And, yeah, I mean, those cars are flying by there. You can't cross that street. You can't cross from the Barrow side to the Wawa side safely. It's just almost impossible. And I know this because I ride my bike down at the railroad. I went there today. And if the roads are too bad or snow down there, sometimes I'll cross the street to ride up into Barrow. And that's very dangerous. What we need right there is no turn on red. There needs to be a sign that says no turn on red. I talked to Harry about that today. I think I have to go to the county for this. But I thought when they put the marijuana store, they were going to, like, make it safer in that area. But I didn't see any signs, no right-hand turn. And the other thing I wanted to tell the people here tonight about is, let me just think here. I don't think anybody honors that bike, that cross street. I don't think anybody's honoring that at all. In other words, if I was supposed to walk across there, they would have to stop for me.
Yes, that's right away, pedestrians have it right away.
I think I'd get killed first, but anyway. I wanted to also tell people that there's an antique store in the Barrow, and it's called Grist Mill Antique. And a lot of the people might not know about it. I've talked to people who don't even know about this, but it's a beautiful store. And the owner's name is Barbara. And I've known her for like years, probably 30. And she's the nicest person. And so if anybody needs any antiques, it's a good place to do some business. And, yeah. The last thing I wanted to say is, Rosemary Flannery did call me today, did text me today. So that was good to hear from her. Thank you, whoever had to talk with her, including you, Harry. And then finally, I wish you well with your problem with the leak, and I hope they get on that and fix it correctly for you and everything else. Thank you for your service to the community. What?
4 months now. I'm waiting. Waiting.
I wish there was something I could do too. That's a shame.
Yeah, Michelle, like I told you earlier, I'm pretty sure that's a county road there, right, Mr. Mayor? I will, next county meeting, go complain about that. I don't know what they'll be able to do, if they'll be able to change it so there's no right on red, or if they can put some flashing lights at that cross section, but I will go talk to the county at the next county meeting.
Councilman Harper, what makes it even worse is if you're coming up down Arnie's Mount Road to Fort Dix Road,
Yeah,
and you look at that traffic light, they actually have a green arrow saying you can go right.
right.
So you don't even have to stop, you just keep going. So that's why when Ms. Foreman said people don't stop.
Yeah.
It's because they have the green arrow.
They got the green arrow there,
So,
okay.
I mean, normally when there's an application before a land use board, the county
Yeah.
does a traffic study, and I
Alright.
figured that they would catch something like that, but
Yeah.
apparently not.
Well, we'll talk to the county, see what we can do, yeah. It's not our road, unfortunately.
Okay, but the police can patrol that, right?
They do.
Anybody else for public comment?
I feel better today. Good evening, everybody in general. Well, I've been done a lot of riding around in all different roads. And the first thing I'm going to hit it is 530 East and Route 70. I know that that's part of the 3 counties and states. Anyone in the administration has been went there since the county stated that they finished that road. The only thing they're going waiting is for the good weather and put in a landscaping on it. It's disgusting. Now they digging the hole bigger. They look like you can bury people there. It's not safe. I'm sorry. They make it worse.
You know,
Okay.
America, I was just there yesterday, and I would have to agree with you. If you're coming from Lakehurst, Toms River area, they should have put in a turn lane there, because you're going to get a lot of rear endings that are going to happen
And
there.
his speed limit is right now,
Yep.
they're 55 miles an hour. There is nothing in there. Okay, I leave that in there. I was traveling today on Route 206 South, coming out on Ridge Road in Southampton. And I noticed there is plenty signs in that road, no trucks allowed. No trucks. Doesn't say allowed, no trucks. That's the only thing it says. I haven't been riding in Birmingham Road at this time a little while. Is any sign anybody knows has they been put in Birmingham Road? There is no trucks allowed, and that's Birmingham Road and Brandywine Roads. Is any sign, anybody? I haven't been riding in there. I'm planning to go probably tomorrow back there. Okay, I leave it there. Okay, now they talking about it, yes, in reference to the UEC and everything. And the sad part it is, this township doesn't have a hall. We can have invited all kind of people, business people, like they sell out breakfast and all this thing. We cannot even have a hall to just invite them and tell them what we got here. That's when the Sycamore Hall come available, and I hope they be able to get it back, and the township can keep it for conference. We don't have nothing in there. In the old day, they used to tell me, oh, we got the red top or the red roof or whatever the hotel. Well, guess what? They were wrong in there. That's what they told me. They did not need no halls at the time. They got at the hotel there. Okay, now my next thing it is, okay, yeah, I hit the Sycamore Hall about the laundromat. Okay, so for example, I am the rental people. Okay, I'm renting the building. I'm renting the building for the township. They are my landlord. If I got any problem, I will hit the landlord. This is your building. You getting my money every month. Why you not repairing where your building is supposed to be? And it's said, because who knows how many people go to the laundromat that that's not their building. They are paying for the use of that building. The people may get sick and everything. Something has to be in the roof. The best bet it is relocate them. You got plenty buildings in this township empty. God. There is no brains in here, look like to me. And we need to help the resident. He's the one bringing rateable to this township for so many years. And this is how that we pay him back? Please, the whole administration do something about it. Give him another building. Put him in another building until you build the other one anyway. That was the deal. I know that you were not in that boat in those years. But this was the deal, how they brainwash people. And they just let him fall to the crack. But guess what? I just hope the township goes in there and fix the building. And I guarantee you, when they go in the roof, they may fall down from the roof down to the laundromat. And they don't have to just worry about it and fix it. Okay, now, I'm going here and I've been reading so many things in the newspaper. Be honest with you, sometimes even my head hurts and I never have a headache. I put the paper down and I say another day, okay, give me seconds. And another day I'm going to hear it. Okay, my question it is right now, and I know that nobody can discuss that. I understand that. I was a state worker. I know the name of the game, okay? If I'm going to hire somebody to run my business, if this person got all this high education, and he was living from his car, because he stated in here, I was here in a meeting one day, that he was living from his car. Okay, now, he is a big man, he make all this money. I wish I could be making the money this man is making. And you're going to hire him to run our business? Forget about it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I really didn't have anything to say tonight till I sat in the back of the audience here and watched some residents. I read in the, I guess, online and newspapers and whatnot, that our schools are one of the top 10 in bullying for our middle school. When I turn around, I don't care if a resident stands up here and recites the Gettysburg Address, or wants to stand here and say nothing for their 5 minutes. But to stand in the back of this room and the comments and the snide comments back and forth, that's where we need to stop. We're setting an example for our children. If that's the example that we're setting for our children, it's wrong. So I'm sorry, that just really aggravated me. The other thing I do want to bring up, I do hope that you do choose the Pinelands Tribune as the township's newspaper. Everyone reads it. Nobody reads the Courier Post or Trenton Times or whatever other one that you're going to pick. The other thing, I understand this gentleman from UEZ said they contacted businesses. I've never been contacted for a survey or anything else, and we've been in town since 1962.
So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, because it's just really, I sit in the back of the room, and it's not the first time it's happened, but tonight just got at me. So let's show some respect for our residents, and that starts at the top. Not only to our residents, but to our business owners. So thank you also, Mark, for your comments on the morals. I could not agree with you more. Thank you.
Let's see. Good evening, everyone. Pete King, 247 Amherst Avenue. Yeah, on this ordinance, the second ordinance in for introduction tonight, I didn't see anything on that when I was looking online for that one. So I didn't get a chance to read what it, what it's going to be about and whatnot. Just to let everyone know, though, that our high school does have, as far as the urban thing, we have a medical arts academy in there where a lot of our people are getting the medical skills while they're in high school so that they can continue on to nursing or doctoral degrees. We also have culinary arts in our high school, which is a really good program as well. And this year, we were able to also get our automotive shop back. So, and a couple of the kids that are in the automotive shop are going to pursue a career in automotive service, which is kind of cool. Also, on February 8th of this year, Scouting in America hit 115 years old and has now been rebranded to Scouting America. This upcoming weekend, think about our scouts when you're out there, because they're going to be pushing a sled around to about 14 different stations and camping out in the cold weather. So just down in Berlin. So think about them while they're out there, and wish the Troop 2145B good luck, and 2397G good luck. So in the past years, 145 has done, I think, second place, maybe. I forgot, but I know they've actually placed up there pretty good, and 397's been a little bit further behind. So we've placed, but not that high. So, all right. So y'all have any questions for me or anything?
Thank you, Pete.
All right. Y'all have a great night. Cheers.
Hi, Pat Guthrie, 317 Birmingham. I apologize for the mask, but I'm getting over the flu. It's actually to protect y'all. I just have a question about 88-2025 and 89-2025. Could you explain that to me more? That's a lot of money, and I don't quite understand what we're doing there.
Do you want me to explain? These resolutions were forwarded to us by our bond counsel. This is not incurring any more money. This money was already bonded for in previous years, and this is because the money is coming from the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank, is that correct? They require these resolutions to be done. It's more of like a paperwork thing.
Well, it's kind of like the money's there, we just haven't done anything
It's already
with it.
been bonded for. The township already bonded for the monies in previous years. These resolutions are just doing some type, the way it was explained to me, it's just paperwork that the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank requires us to do, so that there's things in place when we do actually get the monies or when the
And I
projects are
kind
done.
of arrived late, and I see something here with the UEZ. I thought we were getting rid of the UEZ.
If I had it my way, Pat, I would. But we did a new, it did a new project and revision and reduce the scale of it down, as you can see. And council will be taking a look at that for a later date.
Okay, and is this one section like all the way on the edge? Is that Birmingham Road?
No, that's 206.
No.
All right, so here's Brandywine, so.
206 and Birmingham Road is
This me here in the pink?
Yeah, you'd be in that area somewhere, it looks like, because the Borough Donut Hole is in the center of that, right?
Okay, so they're making our residential area UEZ?
Well, yeah, they're retaining that area. Thank you. And the only reason why I could understand why, Pat, and I'm just answering this, is because Cybron and Celdat are over there now. So businesses, they want to retain it within the UEZ. It has nothing to do with the residential status or the outcome thereof.
They can make little areas like this, UEZ. Can't they just keep Cybron and the sewage plant there and make us where we're residential? And I've been begging pretty much for Birmingham to go back to being, like, we should be residential. And by making us UEZ and leaving us UEZ, that's just opening the door for more warehouses. And that's something we've been fighting for 2 years now. So why don't we take that out?
Again,
I mean, is that telling me that, okay, I'm not gonna be ever residential, so I might as well sell my house because I'm gonna be surrounded by construction and warehouses, and I don't even know what to do with, like, my 5 acres of property? Like, we're just being ran out by leaving us UEZ, so can't we just take Birmingham out of there and make our residents residential?
I'm sure it'll be part of the discussion the council has before it comes to a ordinance or resolution, yes.
Yeah, Pat, that's not final. That's just a proposal.
Josh,
Yeah.
last year when we went and changed some of the redevelopment or areas in need of redevelopment along the North Pemberton Road and stuff, wasn't that one of the areas that we also changed was the pits?
In regards to the 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the warehousing, right?
They did make it,
Yeah.
I did read it, and I was here for all of that, and they made it to where the buildings have to be shorter, there's more of a setback and this and that, but we don't want to worry about no more shorter buildings and setbacks.
I
We want to
thought-
be residential.
I hear what you're saying, but there is a process, and I thought what we did was remove the area in need of redevelopment from the pits, which if we do that, then it would make it, the only thing that anyone could build on would be a 5-acre lot max. And then the next step later on would be to reevaluate during the master plan, the zoning of those properties. And if the master plan determines that they want to change the zoning from GCLI or whatever it is in there, then the zoning could be changed at that time. And unfortunately, Jerry, correct me if I make a mistake on this, but there is a process, and we started that process last year when we redesignated areas not an area in need of redevelopment.
Yeah, Birmingham doesn't need redevelopment. If you drive down Birmingham Road, it's beautiful. And the areas that were made in need of redevelopment have beautiful houses sitting on it, along with gorgeous forest. So that whole in need of redevelopment was a huge farce put onto our road. And leaving us UEZ is opening us up. I mean, I already have an ongoing court case going on right now because I have 5 warehouses projected to go across the street from my home. So I've been trying and begging the council, please, make us residential, and this is kind of a little bit terrifying. This is telling me that I'm almost at the point where I'm at my wit's end.
Pat, what I can answer for you tonight is this, and it's what, kind of Mr. Dockney was mentioning, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase and summarize because I'm not a municipal land use attorney, but I always say that. But when it comes to, don't be scared with it, right? So, and I know it's easier said than done. I know what you're going through. I get it. But what they're trying to do is for the last 3 years of the UEZ program as it exists, right? There's obviously grant money that's obtained, and you weren't here for the presentation for the amount of size the UEZ is that, would that kind of be correct, Mr. Dockney?
Well, it's not the size of the UEZ itself, but the amount of non-residential properties within
Right. Okay, all right, so thank you for clarifying. So amount of non-residential properties that are within the UEZ. So there's grant money that the township is afforded because of that. Now, that doesn't play into the second piece of that, and if you want to give me a call tomorrow, because I haven't heard from you in a long time, and I missed that, but there are pieces in motion for Birmingham that the planning board, from what I understand, and the planners are working on. So and I can't go into it that much further than that, but it does look promising and looks a lot better for Birmingham moving forward.
I mean, Birmingham is a very old town. It's been
I
there
know.
for a very, very long time.
I know.
So I can see grandfather clausing Cybron as its commercial self, and also this fact that the sewage plant is there. But everything else out there is residential, and I'd like to see it become residential as it should be. So it shouldn't be, we're grandfather clause these residents to be, residents, and then if they sell, we're gonna make them commercial. It should be, we're gonna leave it all residential, and if the businesses decide to move out, let them be responsible for tearing down that business and putting more residential homes. It's kind of like we're looking more for the commercial side than we are looking out for the residents. I mean, I have 5 acres myself. I mean, it's terrifying if I go to sell for all my neighbors because, like you said, minimum 5 acres. So someone could build a Wawa on my property, and I would not want to do that to my neighbors. It would not be fair to them. I'm getting old, knock on wood. I could die in a year or two, okay? And in which case, my son, he already has a house. So he's going to sell, and all my neighbors are going to have to go through the nightmare of wondering, okay, now it could be built commercial because there's 5 acres there. Okay, I don't want to do that to my neighbors. I really like my neighbors. I have a beautiful neighborhood, and we need to give precedence to the residents and not to these commercial people. And we can grandfather Cybron into the UEZ, but please take Birmingham out of there. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Pat, we're going to take a careful look at this, Pat. We're not going to make any moves. Mr. Dewey's not here, Perry's not here. We're going to give them a chance to look over these. We're going to take any questions the residents have and carefully figure this out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else for public comment? Come on up.
Good evening, council.
Evening.
I was just wondering what the status
Can you
of,
state your name for me? Sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay, and I'm all signed in. I'm Eric Hess from 119 Sunset. Mr. Harper knows me so far. I just want to clarify on the issues that we had last meeting on touching of what we've just purchased that new truck. Obviously, it's a lot of money. And it is. But is there any way, taxes just gone up. Is there any way, the truck's being built, it's custom built, but is there any way, we can get it into service before 2 years? That's, when it goes into service, it's going to be 3-4 years old.
Administrator, I would defer to administration, Eric. We've been told, council was told 18 months, so that's what council hears and understands, so.
Okay.
What we're being told is it takes 18 months to build that truck, so it won't be 2 or 3 years old. It'll be brand new. It's just going to take 18 months for it to get it through the assembly pipeline.
Right, but it's still going to be an old truck,
we'll take delivery when it rolls off the assembly line. It's not gonna sit in a parking lot for 2 years.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, is it gonna be put into service immediately? I mean, like, 2 years is a lot. I mean, you can have that same truck. Obviously, it takes 18 months to build the truck. You can buy the cab and the truck and have a body put on it, or salter, or anything. You know, they have them in yards. They build beds for them all the time. You know, it's just what they do. But that's not, the other issue I have is, wanted to know what's the status of the stormwater infrastructure, in town on the roads, fixing, repairing pipe, obviously not filling it with riprap and cutting a piece of pipe out of the ground and reburying it and not fixing it the right way. And the other thing is, when we get this dump truck, are we going to have more service in the town? Because, like, people have leaves, and they put them in garbage bags. Well, the township picks them up once a year. Well, people put more than leaves out, more than once, you know, and then they sit in the bags for a year, and then they rot, and then you got a pile of leaves in the street, you know? I mean, if that should be picked up more, or, you know, you should be able to rake them to the street and put them in the street and have a vac truck come and pick them up, or the loader or something come pick them up. I mean, they can't just sit in bags in front of people's houses for a year and a half. That's dumb. You know? I mean, it's a waste of money too when you think about it. I mean, now the other thing is, we were talking about last week. The mayor was talking about the water tower being rehabbed, and it was going to supposedly being fixed. Okay, for the guy to go up there safely. Well, I've passed by there 2 weeks now. Nobody's up there fixing a water tower. Why is nobody fixing it? You know, that's all I got it. I mean, I know to replace, you know, when me and Mr. Harper talked a couple weeks ago, you know, it's not a lot of money to repair the pipe. It's only about $2,500, $3,000, and if the stormwater budget's $5,000, it's coming in under budget. So there's still money to play around with if you need be. The other thing is, how is the going with the Pinelands Commission clearing the woods off the street, you know, the maintenance items?
Are you done?
I'm done now, yes.
Mayor, you want to answer any of the questions first? Yeah.
Don't know really where to start. I think I addressed the truck already because of the pipeline. The stormwater, we talked. I talked to Public Works Director. They're going to review it, probably turn it over to engineering, and they are going to take a look at this. There is a process, and it does take time, unfortunately. As far as the water tower, those contracts have been cut. The contractors are working it, and that's another, call it bureaucracy, call it whatever you want. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time to do this. The state comes in, I know the state's already come in with their engineer 2 or 3 times to talk about this project and some of the things going on. It does take time, unfortunately. As far as clearing the land, I think if you're talking about the land you showed me when I was at your home,
Correct, the end of the street.
that's private property.
No, it is not. It's township property. It says it on the tax map, Mayor.
Okay.
There is one more comment I want to add. You know, when you're going down Pemberton Browns Mills Road toward the library, and you're going to make the left at that corner, and you're going left or you're going right, well, people fly around the corner. And you go to make a turn, and they drive right in you. I mean, or people are walking by, I mean, there really needs to be a street light put there. You know, there's no reason to be doing 90 miles an hour around a corner, and then you run somebody over, you know, or make it a 4-way stop or something. That's all.
As far as you asked about the Pineland, I was at the last Pinelands meeting, and they said as long as it's maintenance issues and we know who the ground belongs to, we don't have to go through them to get any minor maintenance issues.
Correct.
Yeah, so the Pinelands is completely out of that deal on the street. It's just a matter of if it's private, the way I read it on the map too is it's a paper road, and we have the right to do minor maintenance to, make water run and stuff. That's the way I read it. Again, administration may have another view of it. Hopefully, after they have the engineers out there and check it out, they'll be able to straighten your problem out. Council's hands are tied beyond that. Yeah, but there
Okay.
is no Pinelands issue.
Okay, I mean, I'm not just saying it for my road. I mean, my road's an issue.
Right,
Who's seen it's an issue?
yeah.
But every place that has the issue. Now, when I moved here 8 years ago, I had a drainage trench on township property. The neighbor filled it in. How come he doesn't get a summons? That's against the law, isn't it? It's changing the way of the land. That's not supposed to do that. Unless you go through the EPA or whoever to do that. I mean, that's the way I always thought, but I'm done.
Well, we'll see how the engineers and, the Department of Public Works, handle it. Hopefully, they'll be able to straighten it out so that you don't have a drainage problem. If not, please come back again.
Okay, thank you very much.
Eric, I'll address one more thing for you before you leave the dais there. He's not here tonight, but Councilman Dewey is zooming in regards to the leaves. I know he had proposed about a year and a half ago getting some leaf vac trailers that were economically reasonable for the township, but we were told that the Department of Public Works didn't want them. So,
And thanks, Councilman, for reminding me. You do know we have a new program where all you got to do is call, and we'll come to your residence and pick up those leaves?
No, I was not aware of that.
We've been advertising it on the marquees. I think it's on our webpage as well. There is a new leaf collection program, and we will come and pick them up as long as you call us and let them know they're ready for pickup.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe you're allowed, twice a year, Mayor, each resident? I believe so. Yep, I forgot about that. But yes, that is the new program. I guess it's working okay, right, Mayor?
I've only had positive feedback, but it seems like some people aren't aware of it.
Right, yep. So spread the word, call in, give your address, come out twice a year.
Okay, what about, does that apply brush too? Or is that just leaves?
You could always call for brush and we'd come get it. It's just, that one is more like it's in the schedule, and when we can get to it, we come and get it. And I believe that's twice a year too as well.
What, brushes?
I believe.
Okay. All right.
anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Close that portion of the meeting. First up on the agenda is the meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes of January 15th, 2025.
I have that under the consent agenda if you just want to leave it under there.
What's that?
I have it under the consent agenda if you want to do it as part of everything else.
Did you guys want to go, well,
I make a motion to approve the minutes from January 15th, 2025.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes,
Mr. Ward?
yes. Okay, next up, resolution, we're just going to forego with the consent agenda tonight, but Resolution 69, 2025, various routine refunds in the amount of $700.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes,
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up, Resolution 70, 2025, designating official newspapers for the township. Council, questions or comments?
I do have a comment. I'd like to actually make a motion to amend 70-2025 to include the Pine Barrens Tribune.
I'd like to second that motion.
Is that a motion to approve with that amendment?
With that amendment, yes. Yes, correct.
So A motion and a second to approve as amended 70-2025.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up is Resolution 71-2025, supports publishing legal notices on official government websites.
I have a question.
Councilman Dewey.
One of the problems that I have, and when you're saying government websites, I would imagine it's going to be ours. Is that correct?
That's what I was told, yeah, Danny.
Well, since I've been on the council, we have a terrible problem getting what we have now updated. Matter of fact, I think if there's one site, that's Dave Patriarchus. And all the council people, somebody's updated it. I don't even know why it's still on the system.
Excuse me, Mr. Dewey? This resolution specifically relates to the legal notices, which is what I put up on the website. So
Right,
I believe I do get those up when they are required to be up.
okay, but.
Thank you.
The volume that you're gonna have with ordinances and everything else.
It would be no different than what we already put up. The ordinances are put up after they're introduced and adopted within a few days.
And what about storage capacity with our system? Do we have enough for that?
I've been advised that we have no issue with that.
Okay. Well, we'll see, if they get up there on time.
And this is all dependent upon whether the state legislature allows this. I don't even know that it's going to be allowed, but we have gotten, I believe this has come into play because certain newspapers have no longer do actual print papers, and that there is a requirement, a law requirement for that, which is why we're removing the Trenton Times, because they no longer actually do a print newspaper. They're completely digital. So this is in relation to all of that. Excuse me.
Now, back to the other one, is the Courier Post part of that?
No, the Courier Post still does a print newspaper.
I know, but are we approving the Courier Post for one of our papers?
I believe the motion was to allow for the addition of the Pine Barrens Tribune.
Yeah, I heard that, but I was just saying, if the Courier Post is part of that, it's Camden County, has nothing to do with Burlington County.
The Courier Post does have circulation in Burlington County.
Okay,
I did research that before it was put on the resolution.
okay.
I guess I have a question. So we're just saying that we approve this and passing this on to the state legislature and hope that we concur with this? Is that what we're doing?
This is something that was recommended by the New Jersey League of Municipalities because it has become an issue with the publication of newspapers. By law, the township is, all towns are required to publish certain notices within a
Right.
certain time period. And the difficulty of doing that has become harder and harder with the lack of print newspapers and then the publishing deadlines for papers that has come into play. So this is just allowing towns to meet that obligation by being able to post it. I don't know that it's necessarily just our website it would have to go on. There may be another government-based website we would have to send it to.
Yeah, I know there's an assembly bill out there, 3455, that a lot of the small newspapers are trying to get approved so that they can still survive. And, they're not in favor of this, 71-2025. I'm all for small businesses and stuff, and if we're already putting them on our website anyway, then we really don't need this resolution to continue doing that. I guess I'd like to either see it die or be voted down. Mr. President, that's up to you. That's just my opinion.
So do we have a motion for 71, 2025?
I make a motion to not approve 71, 2025.
Second?
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
No. Next up, Resolution 72, 2025, consenting to the appointment of Jacqueline Gleason, CMCA, as Pemberton Township Municipal Court Administrator. Questions, comments from council?
Make a motion to approve. Oh,
I
sorry.
have a couple of questions.
Councilman Dewey.
Now, is this a promotion?
No, Mr. Dewey, this is simply a reappointment of our current court administrator. She's been the court administrator since 2020, I believe.
And when's the term?
The term for this current resolution
Days.
is 2026.
No, I think it's within a couple days.
Okay. So what took so long? Were we coming in under the wire on this?
I honestly don't have an answer for you, Councilman.
Okay. Now, is there any, for this person, is there any, performance reviews or anything that the council could review?
She works for the courts, so the person she, I guess, directly reports to would be the judge.
Or the feedback comes from the township, right?
She works for the court system, Councilman.
I'd like to have more information on, I wouldn't know if I tripped over, and, I would just make sure it's the right person for the position.
From what I understand, if we delay approving this tonight, we're not going to have a court clerk by the next council meeting.
But my question is, was her thing supposed to be done in January?
I'm thinking it could have been done that early, yeah. I don't know why they delayed sending it to us.
Councilman, this resolution would appoint this woman through December of '26, per the resolution. Beginning in January 1st, presumably, so I can only presume that her prior appointment was until December of '24, I guess.
All right, that's all I have.
So do we have a motion for 72, 2025?
I make a motion to approve 72, 2025.
Second?
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
No.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up, Resolution 73, 2025, amending the 2025 temporary operating current budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-20. Council comments or concerns?
Josh, why don't we do 73 to 75, and we can still get our comments and what we think, because we're all famous.
They're all temporary.
Okay. So, no, Danny, anything that goes faster is fine with me. So the motion on the floor is to combine 73, 2025, 74, 2025, and 75, 2025 into one motion.
No, I think we have to have three motions. I thought
Is it?
I thought the councilman was saying we should discuss them all at one time. Is that right?
Well, the only thing I would like to know, Jerry, is when are we going to get the initial budget presented to us?
Well, I can't answer that.
Yeah, I know, but, last year, we never finalized the budget. It was almost the end of August.
We are working on it, Councilman. I think the big holdup was the audit.
Yeah, that's going to be a big problem. All right.
By state law, we have to appoint see, we have to adopt the budget every year, I think by June. But this is and it's standard to have a temporary budget for the first 3 months. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, last year, we never got the budget approved in the end of August.
Yeah, I think the only question I really had was on the 75, 2025 engineering. Is that a project that we've already approved, Mr. Mayor? Do you know?
Hold on. Let's get, not to backtrack, Harry, but let's get through 73, 74, and we'll stop where you're at. Is that
Okay.
cool? Okay. All right, so let's get 73, 2025. Is there a motion to approve 73, 2025?
I make a motion, we approve 73, 2025.
A second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yeah.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Resolution 74, 2025, amending the 2025 temporary operating water utility budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:40-20. Is there a motion or comments on the floor?
I'm making a motion to approve 74, 2025.
Second.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. All right, Harry. 75, 2025, amending the 2025 temporary operating sewer utility budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:40-20. Questions, comments from council?
Yeah, my question was, it says it's for engineering. Was this an engineering project that we already pre-approved? That's what I was wondering.
I honestly don't know. I'm thinking it may be one of the projects we had with the railing and stuff around the tanks that we have done. That's what I'm thinking, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay, for the repair of those railings?
Right.
Yeah, because it just didn't state what the project was for. I didn't know if it was something pre-approved or not, you know.
Well, this would, I mean, it puts the money in the budget to spend. It doesn't approve the expenditure.
Right. But I just thought, I just wondered if we knew what the project was. That's all.
If I had to guess, I would say it's doing the repairs on the tanks.
Okay.
Anybody else? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve 75, 2025.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up, Resolution 76, 2025, authorizing cancellation and refund of property taxes on properties owned by a qualifying totally disabled veteran. Motion, comments?
Make a motion to approve 76, 2025.
Second.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. 77, 2025, authorizing the cancellation of tax sale certificate number 48-54, sold in error.
Can we discuss 77 and 78, because I have questions on that too.
Well, we could discuss 77, then vote, and then 78, then vote.
Okay. Go ahead, Danny.
Why did it take 73 years to figure out this mistake?
That was my question.
It must have been a credit to the new governing body, Mr. Dewey. What this is, so that the audience understands, someone had bought a tax lien on this property, but we own the property, so there were no taxes owed on it. Now, I don't know when that mistake was made, certainly before anybody in this room, but these people have been paying, these people bought the tax lien and wanted to do a foreclosure to own the property. Well, we own the property, so they can't do that. So we are canceling the lien on the property because we own it. There shouldn't be any taxes that are owed. The next resolution would refund the money to the person who's been paying the money to us incorrectly because we inadvertently or we incorrectly had it listed as a private property, which is not. So that's what that's about.
You know, I read the thing, it was, 1952 is when it got screwed up, it was never registered at the county, and then it's one of my favorite people that's involved. So the only point that I'm making is, here's two resolutions that came from Medford. That's all I got to say.
My other question is, if there's one situation like this, how many other properties are in the same status as this property? And are we auditing every single township-owned property to see if it's in the same, falls in into the same scenario?
Yeah, it's all part of the scheme. What do you want to say?
Well, I mean, Matt and I talked about this yesterday. On this particular date, there were 20 other properties sold. You know, are we sure the other 20,
Exactly.
were
Yeah.
handled correctly? Last year, we did a tax sale. We're getting ready to do another tax sale. Are there checks and balances to make sure we don't make this mistake again? I mean,
Look at the mess you got on Bobble. It's the same person, there's a pattern here, and it's got to stop.
This happened in 1952. I highly doubt the person you're talking to was employed with the township at that
well,
time.
but the tax sale happened in 2023. That's where.
And I think that's when we determined that there was a problem there, is when they did the tax sale.
Yeah, and I'm just worried about, like I said, because we do have another tax sale coming up in April, and I hope we double and triple check this to make sure we don't do this again.
We have
So
a very-
everyone understands, there's no financial loss to the town. We're refunding, I'm sorry?
We understand that.
Okay.
Why does it, they sell another hunk of property and we don't own it, right? Somebody else owns it, so there's a mess on Bobble.
Yes.
And I'll guarantee you, before the tax sale goes out, all the friends and family will see it before we do. It's a mess. And it's not right. That's all I got.
Mayor, who's responsible for putting the tax sales together for the township?
Tax collector.
Tax collector?
That would be our tax collector, who's extremely competent.
Okay.
19 times out of 20, anyway.
This,
That we know of.
There's more to come.
But since we're looking at these resolutions and these resolutions alone for this one particular transaction, I'm going to make a motion to approve 77, 2025.
Second?
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Council President, before we go any further, can I ask for permission to release CME? I think he's completed
Oh,
with
yeah.
his briefing, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you were hanging out, Chris. If you want to. Next up, Resolution 78, 2025, cancellation of tax sale assignment refund of $5,418.27 to Yellens Group LLC in connection with the tax sale certificate number 48-54.
Make a motion, we approve 78-2025.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up, 79, 2025, authorizes a shared service agreement between the Township of Pemberton and the County of Burlington for the provision of senior meals. Council comments or motion?
Make a motion that we approve 79, 2025.
Second the motion.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Council President, if I may, on this last resolution you passed, I'd like to make a comment on that. I think it was last week, we got a phone call from our senior center there was a state inspector at the senior center during the mealtime doing an unannounced inspection of our program. And they called me to give me a heads up and a couple other people, and I went down to see what was up. And I talked to the state inspector, and he did tell me that our program, from what he saw, was one of the best ones run in the state for our seniors.
That's good, as it should be. That's awesome. All right. Next up is Resolution 80, 2025, authorizing the acceptance of the New Jersey Historic Trust Discover New Jersey Historic Heritage Tourism Grant in the amount of $4,250. Council comments or?
I have a question. I understand it's a grant, I don't want to harp on it too long, but the letter from the state was dated September 26, 2024, and we're just seeing this now. What was the delay in getting this resolution to the council?
We just got the grant was awarded in November. I think we just got all the documentation that we had to do, the resolution through council to accept it. I believe, shoot, I think it was last spring that we noticed that the grant was available. And I forwarded it to, I believe it was Marty's son, who's the president of the Historic Commission. And he did the grant paperwork and turned it in, and we just got notified that it was all
Okay.
approved.
I make a motion to approve 80, 2025.
Second the motion.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Dewey, you need to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up, Resolution 81, 2025, authorizing contracts with certain approved vendors through the North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Purchasing System pursuant to NJSA 40A:11-11-5 to provide emergency repairs and supplies for the township's water and sewer utilities. Council comments or motions?
Yeah, I looked through the list. I mean, it looks pretty standard to me. Mayor, pass along thank you to Tom for the letter he sent along with this, so we better understood this. You know, communication goes a long way. Yeah.
We're going to hear you twice, Harry.
Spoke so well, Harry.
And if nobody else has anything, I'd like to make a motion to
I just
approve.
want to piggyback on something real quick about Mr. McNaughton. I know we give a lot of flack to Public Works, a lot of our discussions we have to various resolutions, but I will give him, once again, credit where credit's due. He's very thorough when he provides us information we need to make our decisions, and I want to pass on my thanks to him for that.
All right, with that, I make a motion to pass 81, 2025.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. 82, 2025, authorizing a contract with Environmental Resolutions Incorporated for review and updated wastewater treatment plant spill prevention control and countermeasure plan in the amount not to exceed $7,000. Council questions?
I have a question.
So do I.
There was some confusion around the backup for this. Was this done last year? Because I think I remember seeing it on the resolution list at maybe a mid-year or later in the year.
That's what I was thinking, that ARH did some kind
Yeah.
of review for us, Mayor. Do you remember what that was?
I can't remember if this was for out at the plant, or I'm thinking it's more probably back here where the gas pumps are.
The one last year, I couldn't find backup information, but I
There
know we
was a
did
spill
something.
years ago that we're still monitoring
Yeah.
back at the pumps, and I think that's what this is.
Okay, yeah, because there was some confusion
Oh,
on
you
whether.
think that's what this is, for a spill out here?
That's what I believe it is. I think ERI's been monitoring that for
Ah.
quite a
Well-
few years.
And I remember last year, I read the form from
Yeah.
Yeah, but also some language on an annual or a 5-year requirement, I think it was.
Yeah.
It may be that we had to monitor it for 5 years in there. and-
Yeah, but there was also language that was an annual requirement. So I'm just kind of confused. Is it annual, is it 5 years? We have to spend 7,000 or 7,000 plus every year?
If you
or
would
is
have
it-
asked me this morning when you were in my office, I could have followed up with Tom.
Yeah, could have.
Well, just to clarify for council tonight, the third, whereas environmental resolutions, township's wastewater treatment plant, spill prevention, not anything in the backyard.
Right, right.
Danny was correct. August, I believe, the first meeting in August, if what I looked at today was, we spent almost the exact same amount of money for the same plan.
Right. I mean, do we need this every year? I mean, if you had, I mean, when I had a job, you know, when we did a spill prevention plan, that was good for 5 to 10 years. The insurance company was happy with that. You know, I just don't want to see us wasting money every year because, you know, one of my pet peeves are giving engineers money for doing nothing, you know, and I just, yeah, do we want to table this till we get some more information? Maybe you can reach out and talk to Tom about it, Mayor, and we can relook at this at the next meeting? If the rest of you concur?
I agree with Harry.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we table 82-2025 until we get some further information from the head of the Department of Public Works.
Second.
Well, we need a date on that.
March 5th.
For the March 5th meeting, yeah?
Thank you, Harry.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah. Matt?
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up, Resolution 83, 2025, authorizes a contract with Environmental Resolutions Incorporated for construction management and inspection services for Pump Station Number 3, replacement project in the amount not to exceed $49,500. Council comments or questions?
What are we doing to well 3? Pump 3?
I believe we're rehabbing it and replacing the physical pump.
Yeah, I know we got approvals to do it. We had to send it out to bid twice from what I went back and looked at my information. My question is, ARH originally did the bid to do the project, and wouldn't that include them to handle overseeing the project in the money that we already gave them?
I believe this is being reassigned because ARH is no longer the township engineer. ERI is.
All right, so we got a $49,000 reimbursement from ARH for not picking up this rest
I
of this?
don't know if we ever paid him that 49.
Yeah, Harry, this is saying, as I'm reading this,
Yep.
this is saying that it wasn't spent. So they want to reallocate line
Okay.
item.
Okay.
Just so every, council, hold on. And I'm not trying to cut you off, and we'll get,
No.
but line item number 5-07-55700 000-281. Sewer engineering, currently there is an available balance of $150,000, line item number 5. And after encumbering the $49,500, so they want to take the $49,500 out of that line item and swap it over basically instead of pump 5 to replace pump 3.
All right, I just want to make sure that we didn't already pay ARH to do this, you know, bit of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that because of
Any
our
other-
being
any other-
on YouTube?
Any other
No,
comments
he's
or
staying on
questions?
muting himself.
Councilman Dewey, any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve 83, 2025.
Second?
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up, Resolution 84, 2025, appointing Alimo and Associates to assist the township with its annual servicing requirements. Council comments, questions?
Gave it to you.
Oh, is this the one you gave me tonight? I'm sorry.
So it looks like, yeah, $12,500 to a Limo for some different, different planning. Review of plans, preparation items, cost estimate, preparation and bidding. So,
Well, it's gonna tie into 86-2025.
motion or?
Make a motion to approve 84, 2025.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. And next up is 85, 2025, just so council's aware. Administration asked that we table this for this evening.
Do we need a motion for that?
So we just need, we need a motion and a date.
I make a motion that we table 85, 2025 to the next council meeting on March 5th, 2025.
I'll second.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Resolution 86, 2025 appoints Alignment Associates as engineers for the Lakehurst Road Sanitary Sewer Lining Project.
I have a question there, President.
Councilman Dewey?
We've been working with ARH on this for years,
That's my question.
and I believe they have done a lot of engineering work from the Burger King to Country Lakes. So I think we should look through the records and see what we paid ARH and see if we can communicate with Alimo and maybe we can knock the cost down. Because I know it's been done because we've already had 4 major breaks on that pond.
Yeah, and Danny, that was my line of thinking too. I mean, we know ARH was involved with doing this work in the past. Is this a duplication of efforts? It's an addition to, and to your point, what can they take away from what ARH might have done and then lower the cost of this? So I'm with you on that.
I think there was 300 feet of it already lined.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. They did 315 feet as an emergency project. And I believe you're right about ARH doing engineering for at least 1,000 feet of that project originally. So, we shouldn't have to pay the full amount.
It's banned from the Burger King all the way to Country Lakes.
Jerry, didn't we have a meeting with these guys and ARH was going to transfer all the files?
Yes, ARH, if I'm thinking of the correct one, ARH has been paid thus far $40,500 on this file. We've been asking for copies of whatever they have for $40,500. I've not received them. I don't know if they sent them directly to ERI. I don't know. But you might want to consider putting this off, and we'll get more information for you before the 15th of March or so.
Yeah.
I'll find out about that and get back.
Yeah, because like I said, I know ARH did engineering on at least 1,000 feet of this project, and so, I mean,
All right.
and looking at the numbers that we just got tonight, I think it's a little high, so maybe they're not accounting for the fact that half of it was already done.
I'll find out.
All right, I make a motion that we table 86, 2025 till the March 5th meeting.
I second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up, Resolution 87, 2025 accepts proposal for providing professional planning services from Mark Remsa, PP, for the New Jersey State Development and Redevelopment Plan in the amount not to exceed $9,100. Council comments, questions, or concerns, or motion?
Make a motion to approve 87-2025.
Second?
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Ward?
Yes. Resolution 88, 2025, determining the form and other details of not exceeding $1,757,400 general obligation bonds of the township and providing for their sale to the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank in the state of New Jersey pursuant to the Water Bank Financing Program of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain loan agreements, and there's no periods, an escrow agreement in a connection therewith.
That came directly from bond counsel. I don't make this stuff up.
Mouthful.
Take a breath, whatever you want.
It came from them.
Council comments or concerns?
I make a motion to approve 88-2025.
I second the motion.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Ward?
Yes. Resolution 89, 2025, determining the form and other details of its note relation to the construction finance program of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank, FKA New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Trust. There's comments, okay, good. To be issued in the principal amount of up to $1,757,400 in one or more series, and providing for the issuance and sale of such note in one or more series, to the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank and authorizing the execution and delivery of such note in one or more series by the Township of Pemberton in favor of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank, all pursuant to the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank Construction Finance Program. Hope everybody did their homework. Council comments, questions?
I make a motion to approve 89-2025.
Good idea.
Second the motion.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Does this mean, Mayor, that we can start seeing work out there now on those water projects?
All right, last resolution for the night, 90, 2025, approving and authorizing the execution of a shared service agreement with the Mount Holly Municipal Utilities Authority. Council comments, questions?
I have a question.
Councilman Dewey.
I'm assuming that we're gonna be using our, truck to truck this to Mount Holly?
That's the way I'm reading it.
I would assume that, Councilman Dewey, but I'm not 100% sure how we're transferring.
If you're aware of the, Cradle to the Grave Act with all and stuff like this?
Well, I know we transport it from the sewer department over to the farm,
Yeah.
and we're gonna continue doing that. It's just DEP limits of what we can spread on the farm. That's why we have to send the remainder of it somewhere else, and Mount Holly's the cheapest.
How many gallons is our truck?
According to the paperwork I read, Danny, 4,000 gallons at a time our truck can handle. And, I mean, while we're on that truck, my question was, do we know how old that truck is that we're running?
I have no idea.
All right, well, the only thing I'm all in favor of the town saving money, and it looks like we're gonna save $107,000. It says to be designated to a certain fund. I would like, if possible, we could designate that money to a fund to replace the truck at a future date, because if we're gonna start using that truck more, we're gonna have to look at, taking care of it and replacing it in the near future. So, I mean, that's the only amendment I would make to it, that if we can designate those funds to go to future replacement of that truck, or possibly, I know we have a brand-new lowboy out there. Do we still have the old tractor that we used to use for the lowboy, do you know, Mayor?
No, I don't.
Okay, because that would, I mean, either the new one or the old one, if it's still in service, you know, at a future date, you know, maybe buying a tanker trailer to hook up to that, and then, you know, it's cheaper than buying a whole truck if we just have to buy a tanker trailer. But in either way, I would say, you know, set those funds aside, you know, for the future possibility of replacement.
Well, with the tanker, you could probably take, what, 20,000 gallons?
Yes, because of the weight and all, Danny, I think 65 to 6,800 gallons is the most you can haul, because that stuff.
I was talking about pounds, you know.
Oh, pound, yeah, yeah, I know they go by gallons when you're running a tanker and stuff, so.
Well, you can't exceed 80,000 pounds.
Right, that's why I'm saying 65 to 6,800 gallons.
And I mean, we can, a good use will be to define, you know.
Yep. And I'm sure Tom will work with us once we, you know, tell him that that's what we'd like him to look at, you know.
The amendment, we take the money that we're saving, we put it in account for future proper tanker.
All right, then I'd like to make a motion that we approve 90-2025 with amendment that says all proceeds that we save go towards future buying of a new truck. Or a tanker, yeah.
Mr. Dasty? I'm sorry, I have a legal question.
I would suggest that you not tie the money into purchasing something in the future. You never know what's going to happen here, Harry.
But if we just throw it in the general fund, then, you know, and again, I don't know how old the truck is and all, but say 4 years down the line, we need to buy a $500,000 truck.
But you don't have anywhere to put the money. We don't have a trust.
Why do
for
we,
the sewer.
you know,
I believe,
this is a.
in order to do a dedicated trust and just put money aside for, you have to have a legal
Yeah,
fund
I don't think
set up.
you
which
really shouldn't
can't
be
do it in
doing
this
that. Let's not look this
resolution.
gift horse in the mouth because of.
Okay,
problem is done, we're
I'm
gonna-
just looking towards the future to make sure that the money's there. You know, we run into that every once in a while. We want to buy something and we don't have any money set aside.
Well, that's true, Councilman, but if you designate it for one thing, you might need the money for something else now. So, I mean, I think that you shouldn't tie the hands of the administration in that regard. Let's wait and see what happens. And let's pray that truck lasts for a while.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Solicitor, for your advice.
You're welcome, sir.
All right. With that, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 90-2025 as read.
I'll second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Councilman, before we go into the public hearings on these ordinances, can we take a 5-minute break?
Sure, I think so. Okay. Just so everybody knows, everybody good with that? Need a motion? Do we need a motion now?
Yes,
Okay.
5 minutes.
Can I get a
Make a
Motion?
motion, we take a 5-minute break.
Harry?
Second.
Perfect. 5-minute break.
Harry, I wasn't trying to like stop you from doing it. I don't think legally you can put that in the resolution.
Matt and I talked about it earlier, and we weren't sure if we could do that.
Well, that's something, and that now that you know about it, when it comes to budget time, and they have the, is this the sewer capital budget for the sewer budget? You would
Hey, what's going
tell
on?
them to put that in there. Like, we want to make sure we're putting
It's
money
not your
aside,
fault.
or
No, it's okay.
when they're budgeting,
Chris, it's great meeting you.
stuff like that.
I am I'm not going to say I'm a master, but I've been working UEZ for like the past 2.5 years trying to learn.
When I lived in Asbury Park, I had to use their, zero on the radio.
Sewer sludge from our sewer.
I always found it a little funny, you know, advertise to Lakewood, say like, it's in the UEZ, you can go to Lakewood and all this thing.
Hi, Jerry, watch. You're gonna trip on your cord.
Yeah.
I left that part out of that, it's like, I like that we have lower sales tax.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like Delaware, but it's like, give me an incentive to leave Asbury Park and then to drive all the way to Lakewood too.
Yeah, but in the same breath though, right, it kind of makes sense, Chris, right? Because I mean, if you're you're collecting at 3%, the idea is, right, it's still 3% comes back to the business, right, is how it's supposed to work. So I mean, if you get, the idea is quantity, not quality in that situation, I guess, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I've read two different studies of like how effective these sorts of programs are. It's kind of a, well, they help, and if you ignore the larger picture,
Yeah.
you can just say, yes, there's been $100 million of investment through the EEZ. It's like, well, there might have been 99 million without it anyway.
Yeah, the problem was, I mean, I get it, the township's 67 square miles, but the business involved since 1996 here, they just didn't, I don't think we ever had the traction to do it right. The way the program was supposed to be ran, right? It was just, like I said, it's just taken from one pocket and put in the other. That's, I don't want to be rude
You have to use a lot of your UEZ funds just to get the businesses to participate.
Exactly. Yep.
You kind of got to do what it is. If anybody's expecting massive changes as a result of this, it's not.
Yeah.
We'll get a little bit out of it.
Right.
Transformational fantasy of it.
Yeah, nice to meet you though, thank you. All right, whatever. Yes, Mr. Thomas.
John?
How you doing?
Good. Question of whether is that, they mentioned black mold. Is there any public health threat in that,
So legally, yeah. I cautionarily say yes.
Well, that would
Okay,
put him more at
because,
risk.
no, the problem is, the issue is, right, with if you're talking about the Department of Health of Pemberton County, right? So, not to be a negative Nancy about it, I have black mold.
Yeah.
Okay, I have black surfaces, right?
And I don't know.
Right, so when my health inspector comes in, it's marked as a nuisance, it's not marked
Yeah.
as a food, critical violation.
But is that a proxy for something else there? I don't know.
Potentially, I mean, if anybody's allergic to mold spore, then I mean, you can ultimately, asthmatic reaction, so you would know it better than I do, but yeah, I would assume so. Right? I mean, it's not red algae, so there's no concern of Legionnaires or anything like that.
This is, the population that uses that are the ones who are most
I agree with that, yeah.
I'm saying.
No, Mark, I agree with you, I really do. I'm sweating here.
Are you?
Yes.
Are you freezing?
I'm sweating my ass off.
You're usually.
Are you kidding me? I know, Michelle.
The people back there are freezing. I got it. Oh, no, I'm kind of good now. I feel like some of the other people back there have coats and they're freezing.
I'm not unforgiving, but I'll take a look at the thermostat, but I'm sweating up here.
Are you too, Amy?
I'm comfortable.
Maybe because I am always cold. I'll tell you, if it's not at 71 over there, I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
I can't see it.
It looks like 72.
Okay, well, it's 72.
I still think it's working here.
No, it's working. What do you mean it's rated 72?
I'm gonna bring my thermostat in here. Go away, it's 72. But you really were my designated thermostat, but you're failing.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to. I mean, I've been doing that a lot with people apparently. I don't know. I'm trying my best. Everything, but that's okay.
No,
It's another story. It's another story. Yes.
You guys match.
Yes.
Well, nobody else got the
I'm
memo.
sorry, I've been ghosting you because I've been busy.
That's right.
I'm sorry. But if you want to give me a call tomorrow, you can reach out to me tomorrow. Okay? I'm sorry.
Hey, Michelle, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Good. I made a note of it, too. The
Can you speak? Yeah.
We will finally reach out.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Cool. Yep.
My email
Been 5 minutes, yeah.
If you wanted to, here's what I have.
She wasn't here.
Yeah. No, if you wanted to, where the hell they go here? Hold on, I'll find it. You may want to talk about, in your report, where the hell they go?
Yeah, that report.
You know what this is about?
No.
It's pretty good. Read it. It's from Trish. You may want to talk about that and about having the meeting maybe next month sometime about the money we have in the affordable housing trust or scheduling a meeting.
But, yeah, I was spoiling myself in the house with the heat on and skipping the bike rides. I've been riding, I have a
You rode a bike today? God bless.
bundle up and I love it. I love riding.
Good. Good for you.
I told him I've been spoiling myself. I just like old bike, you know, like.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That and the other thing about, we're gonna try to set up a meeting in March about the affordable housing.
Yes.
An old bike, with the, you know, the wheel that turns around with the fan, and you ride it, and you
kidding.
pedal it.
That's
and
good
the arms go
exercise
like-
too.
That's good for you.
Wow, that gets you good exercise.
Yeah, and I put it on my porch, so it feels like I'm outside because there's a glass in.
Yeah, again, I have a place in the basement, and it does all that stuff. It was.
Miss Guthrie?
Okay, we're going to call the meeting back to order here. So we get through this and go home.
I'm at 9 o'clock.
I'm going to take the over on that. How's that? Yeah. Ready.
All right, all you rabble-rousers, sit back down now.
All righty, so we're going to get into ordinances for a second reading here, public hearing and or adoption. Councilman Dewey, are you back with us?
He's still on there, he's not, he's muted.
He's muted, okay.
Yeah, I never left. I haven't been blocked.
Oh, that's good, Danny, that's good.
TMI.
All righty, first is ordinance number 1, 2025, an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton, County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, repealing and replacing Township Code Sections 5-21 through 5-24, and creating and establishing the Township Council of Pemberton's Economic and Business Development Committee. We'll now open this ordinance up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak can come up? Okay, seeing none? I think we beat a dead horse over the past year for this, so.
Yeah, this is needed.
Anybody, council comments, questions?
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 1, 2025.
Second motion.
Mr. Bianchini,
Yes.
Mr. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Dewey, Mr. Ward.
Yes. Next up, ordinance number 2, 2025, an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton, County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, amending and modifying Article 5 of the Township Code entitled specifically Sections 5-32 through 5-37 entitled Veterans Advisory Committee. Is now open for public comment. Anybody want to come up and make a comment on ordinance 2, 2025 at this point in time? No? Oh, Mrs. Guthrie.
Just a quick question. Don't we already have one?
We do, we're amending it. Then what we're doing with this right here, with the ordinance number 2-2025 is we're just putting some more structure with the Veterans Advisory Committee. The Veterans Advisory Committee does a lot. It's a very valuable committee. We're just trying to put a little more structure around it, and also we're adding a line item in the budget for the Veterans Advisory Committee, a small amount of money, not a lot, because right now it's a self-funded committee. So any events that we have, parades, memorial services, what have you, we have to pay for that through donations. So we're adding a line where it says we will be in the budget. We'll have a line item in the budget.
Okay, now, I just recently learned that we actually had one of these because of you. How do people get involved in that?
Well, it's on the township website. Our meetings are the first Tuesday of every month. Right now, the time on the website says 4 o'clock. We're trying to move it to 5 o'clock permanently here in room 9 in the municipal building. And another change to that, to the existing ordinance, is that a council member will sit on the committee just as a liaison.
And last but not least, how do you give donations?
Give me money.
So I just write you a check, huh?
Just write me a check. Cash is accepted, though.
Councilman, you might want to point out that you're a member of that committee.
Well, that's how I knew about it.
No, but so for donations, if you want to give a check donation, it has to be made out to something other than the Veterans Advisory Committee, and I can share that with you later.
All right, thank you.
And it's not to me, unfortunately.
Any other comments from the audience on Ordinance 2, 2025? Seeing none, we'll close out public comment. Council, comments, concerns, questions, or motions?
I make a motion, we approve ordinance 2-2025.
I'll second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Yes. Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up is ordinance number 3, 2025 for public comment, an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton, County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing sections 3-15 of the Township Code entitled Division of Finance. It's now open for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on 3, 2025 can come up at this point in time. Wow, everybody's really well informed on these. Okay. Seeing none, we'll close that section out. Council comments, concerns, questions on 3, 2025?
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 3-2025.
Second the motion.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Yes. Mr. Ward?
Yes. Okay, item number 11 on the agenda, ordinances for introduction. Ordinance number 4-2025, 2025 cap ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and to establish a cap bank according to NJSA 40A:4-45, period 14. Council, I need a motion to introduce.
I make a motion to introduce ordinance number 4-2025.
At our, need a date.
Introduced at our next council meeting, March 5th, 2025.
For public hearing.
Public hearing. Thank you. Appreciate the guidance.
Council President,
Yes.
would you like the CFO in attendance for that meeting for the hearing?
Yeah, please, if she's available.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dewey, did you second that? I did. Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Yes. Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
No. Next up, ordinance number 5-2025, an ordinance of the Township of Pemberton, County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing subsection 5 of the Township Code entitled Human Relations Commission. I think this was a recommendation and kind of jumped the gun for the BMIA in this regards, but this is on for introduction. Can we have a motion for introduction by council?
I make a motion to introduce ordinance number 5-2025 at our next council meeting, March 5th, 2025, and open it up for public hearing.
I guess second the motion.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Ward?
Yes. All righty, that was quick. On to new business, item number 12 on the agenda. Purchases over $3,000. A1 Public Works Tire Recycling Services from Tyrex Resources LLC in the total amount of $6,000. Council comments?
The only thing I got, Josh, is I use that company for years. It's an excellent company. They're honest. They give you an honest count. I guess it's like when people drop tires off here, they're in a pile. The guys will go out, count the tires, they double check them, they're right on the money, and they take them. We used them, they were at our place once a week, picking up tires. And had very good success.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Dewey. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, we pay the bills for,
No, A1, Harry.
A1, I'm sorry. I'll make a motion, we pay A1 for the recycled tires.
I second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Next up is item A2, Police Hermit Cam Modular Surveillance System for Crime Point Incorporated in a total amount of $11,599. Council comments, questions, concerns? Approvals.
I make a motion that we approve the purchase A2 for the Hermit Cam Modular Surveillance System from Crime Point Inc. in the total amount of $11,599.
Second the motion.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes. Item number 13 on the agenda, approval by council required for payment of vouchers on bill list dated 2/12/2025. Council comments, questions on the bill list? No? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the bill list dated 2/12/2025.
Second the motion.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey? Mr. Ward?
Yes. Okay. Next up, we have reports and council comments. Solicitor, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Chairman. Mrs. Guthrie, we're filing a motion tomorrow, as we talked about, to try to see if we can have the Pemberton 2 lawsuit remanded back to the planning board or the zoning board. That motion will be filed tomorrow with the appellate division. We don't know when it will be heard, but it's in the works, okay? And the council has, the governing body has authorized us, we're going to be sitting down with members of the council and the governing body first or second week in March to talk about existing redevelopment agreements we have with at least two redevelopers, one for the Cahove Greenberg property and the other for Bobolink, which is Surrey Equities. We want to see if we can do something a little differently with those agreements. That's all I have.
Mr. Mayor, do you have a mayor's report?
No, I don't have anything tonight.
Skip this, that's okay. This is the old agenda.
That's the old agenda.
Well, okay.
Did I miss something?
I don't know.
Have it the one bill.
I don't know. What was he looking at?
Okay. Nope. All right. None, you're good? All right, Chuck. Council member comments.
Yeah, I have a few, Josh, if I can.
Councilman Dewey, you first.
Amy, I'm watching the YouTube and it's absolutely perfect. The sound's great, the pictures are great. It's a great job. I know it was a long time coming. An excellent job that you got done. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'd like to thank everybody that showed up tonight. First time since Zooming, I could see everybody. And we really appreciate you coming out. The next comment I have is for the mayor, if I may. Is there any reason, Jack, that the council people that attended the League of Municipalities that you rejected reimbursing our expense?
It wasn't in the budget.
Really? It wasn't in the budget?
Wasn't in the budget.
Well, when I get back, I'm gonna expect a check from you, because I definitely want to be paid. I mean, we're putting out a lot of money for your legal fees, so what the hell's $200 reimbursement for us going to Atlantic City so that we can better serve the residents of Pemberton Township? I think it's a bunch of BS.
Danny done?
Councilman Dewey, is that it, bud?
Yeah, I said that was it.
All righty. Sorry, Danny, I didn't hear you. I was side conversation. I'm sorry.
Thanks for the time.
Councilman Harper?
All right, yeah, thank everybody for coming out. You know, we're slowly working to right the ship, doing the best we can. Yeah, we try to be as well-behaved as we can up here at the council meeting. Yeah, and I'm doing my very best. I'd like to implore the mayor, you know, once again, to just please reconsider, you know, selling that emergency squad property. You know, you got to start doing right by the people of the town eventually. Whether it's one at a time or a whole 27,000 people, but you got to start seeing the light. You just can't keep ignoring the people. People speak every other week up here, telling you what they would like to see happen. And you just constantly keep worrying about the small little issues like putting up gates and railings and plug protectors. I just wish you would see the light and start doing what's right for the residents. You got us handcuffed up here on what we can do and can't do. And believe me, you know, if you let us work with you, you know, a lot of things would go a lot better here in the town. But thank yous all for coming out and supporting us. We're going to keep trying.
Matt? You want me to go? I mean,
No, I'll go. So, I sit up here and at least Harry and I, and Perry, who's not here, we've only been sitting in these seats for a few weeks. And I got to tell you, I have reached a level of frustration and actually a level of embarrassment sitting up here. And I don't understand the reason why we have this I can't think of the correct word, but we need to work better with the administration. Jack, you do a great job with the veterans, and I say all the time, I give credit where credit's due. The mayor, when it comes to supporting the veterans and the Veterans Advisory Committee, does an impeccable job. You really do. I give you credit for that all day long, publicly, on record, I say that. However, on the flip side, we come here and the disregard, the disrespect, and the lack of consideration for our residents is so obvious, and I don't know why, and I can't wrap my head around it, because the residents are what makes this township what it is. And I know we keep going back, to Mr. Ellie and his request to purchase the EMS building. And I can't, for the life of me, fathom why we don't try to help this local small businessman be successful and continue to be successful in this township. I don't understand it. We each individually have went to you with an olive branch to work better with you, and you push us away. Another thing I don't understand. When all we want to do is work with you to make this township better and make our residents feel safe, feel comfortable, feel like they're heard. And if I were to ask everybody here to raise their hand, most people raise their hand and say they don't hear nothing. I just don't get it. You know, we're here to serve them, to serve our residents of this township to the best of our ability. And our hands are tied, you know, and we're trying. We're trying real hard. We're just not making much headway. But it's not lost. Don't give up on us yet, because we're still going to try from every angle to try to make things happen. And the number one thing that we're going to make happen is taking care of you, especially the local small businesses who have leaky roofs, anyway, regard, whatever, or lights burned out in the parking lot, or anything. You know, it's just we as a governing body, as an administration, need to do a better job of making sure that you're taken care of, that your voices are heard. And that's a promise, and I'll speak for all of us when I say that's our promise to you, is we're going to keep on trying until something happens. But thank you all for coming out tonight. 8:48, maybe we're going to break a record getting out of here. That's all I got. Thanks. Josh?
All righty. Thank you. All right. I got a couple of things this evening. This got dropped on me via email this morning. Well, I think this morning, but wanted to read it to everybody. So for those of you in the audience in the township that are on Zoom that are unfamiliar with the Pinelands Family Success Center, they're located at 55 Pemberton Browns Mills Road, right down the street from us and directly across from the old Acme Shopping Plaza. I was fortunate enough prior to COVID to have had the opportunity to tour the facility and get a glimpse into what services they provide for our residents, primarily families with children. They offer a safe, homey space for families to relax, learn, and connect with other outreach programs throughout our area. They collaborate with multiple other businesses and individuals to provide opportunities for education, family fun, and healthy living. And that is only a fraction of how they support our community. And then I got a link for a website, and one of the other things, and this is going to tie in together with something else I'm going to have to say, but we're hoping to utilize this center's community connections to get the word out about our home improvement program. Perhaps host a couple of seminars for residents who may be interested but do not know where to begin. Work out any kinks there may be in the application process that could make it seem daunting or overwhelming for applicants. Eventually, we want the center to be able to hand residents a packet which will contain a generic pre-filled example application, a detailed list of required documentation and step-by-step guide explaining what to expect, along with contact information. And we're also keen to learn more about our residents as a whole. And sure, you know, it goes on and on for there. But basically, that was sent by a member of the township, an employee of the township, I believe, right, Jerry? Yeah, Trish. So what's happening is, just so everybody's aware, and I guess, you know, what we want to get out there is, you know, the old RCA program, if anybody's aware of what that was, or what it did, was to provide folks in need with a way to basically get a grant to fix up your house, you know, so on and so forth. So I see some people shaking their head, know what the RCA program is. I wish I was more schooled in the program, but I'm not. I'm sorry. But the new program, what we found out through our fair share and affordable housing plan meetings that we've had so far in the township, is there's about, was it $1.4 million? $1.4 million in a trust fund. That's basically township money. And what we decided to do, or what the Community Development Office decided to do, with the help of this subcommittee and Mr. Remsa, was to basically put together a new program for the township, sort of similar, following the same guidelines, I would assume, as the RCA program. And we want to make sure that we roll out the instruction packet correctly. And some of the comments on that subcommittee, on those subcommittee meetings, were hopefully, and it looks like we got the green light to get the school involved in Channel 14 and have sort of like a Q&A, a video Q&A on TV, so everybody can watch that and rewatch it. I thought that was a great idea. Mr. Barney from the planning board got together with the school and said that that's going to be a possibility. The other thing is utilizing the community event center down in Browns Mills, like the employee was talking about, to get out into the public and get the information out there, because it seems like, looking, like Matt said, it's all about transparency and communication. And sometimes, people don't have the ability to visit. We want to get it out there as much as possible, in front of people as much as possible, long story short, right? So as opposed to just putting it on an LED marquee and saying, hey, we have this. We want to inform the township, like, you could qualify for this as long as you follow these guidelines and get money to redo your siding on your house, windows on your house, that sort of thing. So there's a whole planning process that has to happen, but we're moving very quick on it. And I'm really excited and happy to see that. I think Mr. Rems is coming in sometime in March to do a presentation. I hope everybody that can come out, if you're on Zoom right now or here, if you can come out and you are, what's that? YouTube, sorry, I don't know. I'm all, Zoom, YouTube, Alex left, so I'm sorry. But anyway, we want to have as many people come out for these seminars and see if you qualify. You may qualify, and if you qualify, then you get some of the, you get some money to redo your house or something. I wish I could do it, but so that's kind of something exciting that's happening soon. I have hopefully we'll be able to get the land use zoning circular pattern contingency plans done and move forward with that, Pat. Okay, for Birmingham, that's kind of what we're waiting on. It's looking very, very promising in that regards. The other thing is some of these committees that we're putting together. I was happy and excited to work with Danny with the Agriculture Advisory Committee and getting that off the ground 2 years ago. And that's the Economic Business Development Committee is just something. It's another piece to potentially help the Community Development Office or to help council understand or to get people involved with that. So if you'd like to sit on a committee, we'd be more than welcome to have you, because we're going to have to wind up appointing some people here within the next, as soon as this gets codified, we appoint people to the Business and Economic Development Committee. And, including in that, and I'm excited to say is, kids from the community. If you see like what Matt did with the, which I'm so excited to see with the Veterans Advisory Committee. I think every committee that we have in the township should be inclusionary of our youth. And that's something that I'm very, very adamant about personally. And that's why I went to Mrs. Sharp at the school last year and talked to her about having the FBLA members sit, not as an active member or a voting member, but to get an experience of what civil service is all about and representing your community, right? Because that's what it's all about, right? Is civic pride, and trying to get some of that back in there. Same thing with the Veterans Advisory Committee with the inclusion of the ROTC program. It's just smart, right? I'm on a bunch of other things. I do Coast Guard Auxiliary, and I'm a member of other committees and stuff like that, but we're losing membership. People are getting older, and it's not a knock. It's just we don't have the ability to get out. So I think that's going to be very, very exciting, as well as the Human Relations Commission, if that committee, if that gets all the way through. I think that's a huge step up for us as well. We're going to need people to chair that and be on that committee. And I hope that that goes a long way as well, because like Dr. Thomas said tonight, it's some people are just, the anxiety is just going crazy, and it's rampant. But to give people some inclusionary, ownership in what we do here as a community as a whole is what it's all about. So hopefully we'll see some people in the audience want to chair that as well. So that's all I really have. I don't want to keep it past 9 o'clock. Like Matt said, it's a record. So I hope, happy to see everybody stayed. Thank you all for coming out as always. What's the next one? St. Patrick's Day. I think, right? Next holiday is St. Patrick's Day. Everybody have a happy St. Patrick's Day if you're Irish or not.
Oh, we'll be back before then.
Yeah, will we?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back. All right, okay, all right. I just want to make sure I get everybody this. And have a great night. We just need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.